Chapter 4:15. 10 million core essence crystals was worth the same as 100 billion spirit essence stones. Moreover, core essence crystals were even rarer than spirit essence stones. Like this, the suspicions of the Qin family in the second VIP room that Emo Qinyun didn't have 100 billion spirit essence stones were no longer valid. After discovering this, the expressions of everyone in the auction house became strange. As they looked at VIP room 2, their eyes were filled with mockery. Emo Qinyun was right. The Qin family members were all sore losers. No wonder Qin Chuan suspected Mr. Mo in VIP room 9. So the Qin family members are all the same. They can't afford to lose. This Mr. Mo has a terrifying amount of wealth. Even the Yin Tong Trading Company can't compare with him. For such a person to be suspected by Qin Chuan of not being able to take out 1 billion spirit essence stones, what a joke. At this moment, everyone was ridiculing the Qin family. As everyone was feeling disdain for the Qin family, Emo Qinyun impatiently said from VIP room 9, "Qin family members, if you don't have the money, then get the hell out of here so you don't embarrass yourselves here." As soon as they heard Emo Qinyun's words, the Qin family members in VIP room 2 immediately darkened. Then, an old man from the Qin family coldly snorted, "Humph! Spending 100 billion spirit essence stones to buy an item of unknown value is far too wasteful. My Qin family disdains to compete with a wastrel like you." Hearing this old man's words, Emo Qinyun immediately revealed a look of disdain. He disdainfully said, "If you're scared, then you're scared. Don't speak so much nonsense." Humph! Hearing Emo Qinyun's words, the Qin family members coldly snorted and didn't speak any more nonsense. As the Qin family members remained silent, the competition for the giant purple palm came to an end. In the end, it was won by Emo Qinyun with 101 billion spirit essence stones. If that's the case, then the owner of this Outer Realm Powerhouse's arm is Mr. Emo from VIP room 9. Seeing Emo Qinyun obtain the final victory, the auctioneer's face revealed a look of awe as he announced the final result. At this moment, when the auctioneer said this, his heart was filled with fear. He had almost offended a terrifying existence that could take out 100 billion spirit essence stones. Congratulations to Mr. Mo for obtaining this Outer Realm Powerhouse's arm. When he heard the auctioneer's announcement, Yi Jingtian, who was in VIP room number 1, smiled faintly at Emo Qinyun. "Thank you, Uncle Yi." When Emo Qinyun heard this, he smiled faintly in response. Immediately after, Emo Qinyun took out 10 million core essence crystals and 1 billion spirit essence stones to pay for the Outer Realm Powerhouse's arm. "Thank you, Miss Wan." After putting away the Outer Realm expert's arm, Emo Qinyun thanked Duanmu Wan. "At least you still have some conscience." Hearing Emo Qinyun's words, Duanmu Wan coquettishly glared at Emo Qinyun. She cast a seductive look at Emo Qinyun and said, "Brother Yun, if I need your help in the future, you must not refuse. As long as it doesn't go against my principles, I will definitely do my best." Hearing Duanmu Wan's words, Emo Qinyun's expression turned serious as he nodded in response. "Good. Remember what you said." Hearing Emo Qinyun's reply, Duanmu Wan smiled sweetly. She was very satisfied with Emo Qinyun's answer. Emo Qinyun nodded at Duanmu Wan in response. Then, he looked at Long Hanyan and said, "Hanyan, let's go." "Okay." Long Hanyan nodded and followed Emo Qinyun out of VIP room 9. "Hanyan, this is the Dragon Blood Purple Jade tea set. Take it." After exiting VIP room 9, Emo Qinyun took out the Dragon Blood Purple Jade tea set and handed it to Long Hanyan. "I'll give you the elemental spirit stones for the Dragon Blood Purple Jade tea set." Seeing Emo Qinyun's actions, Long Hanyan took out her universe bag and prepared to give the elemental spirit stones for the Dragon Blood Purple Jade tea set to Emo Qinyun. "There's no need." Emo Qinyun stopped Long Hanyan's actions. He smiled faintly at her and said, "Between you and me, why is there a need to be so clear? And hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Long Hanyan immediately smiled and nodded shyly. Then, Emo Qingyun and Long Hanyan walked out of the Burning Heavens auction house together. After leaving the Burning Heavens auction house, Emo Qingyun sent Long Hanyan back to Long Mansion. After a while, Emo Qingyun and Long Hanyan arrived outside Long Mansion. When they arrived outside Long Mansion, Long Hanyan had an expectant look on her face. She said to Emo Qingyun, "Qingyun, grandfather's 100th birthday is in 6 days. Can you come?" "I'll definitely come." Hearing Long Hanyan's words, Emo Qingyun smiled faintly and replied to her. Then, Emo Qingyun and Long Hanyan chatted for a while before returning to Tianyan Mansion. After 15 minutes, Emo Qingyun returned to Tianyan Mansion. After returning to Tianyan Mansion, Emo Qingyun did not hesitate and immediately returned to his room. After returning to his room, Emo Qingyun took out the purple arm that he had obtained from the auction house and prepared to refine it. Pung pung pung. Once he took out the purple arm, Emo Qingyun's eyes began to twitch rapidly. "I wonder how much my bloodline power will improve after I refine this arm." Looking at the purple arm before him, Emo Qingyun had an expectant look on his face. He began to refine it. Then, Emo Qingyun sent a stream of origin energy into the purple arm to refine it. As the Yuan power entered the purple arm, a pure bloodline power was extracted and entered Emo Qingyun's body. Once the bloodline power entered Emo Qingyun's body, Emo Qingyun immediately had a familiar feeling. At the same time, the bloodline power quickly merged with the blood in his body. As the bloodline power merged with Emo Qingyun's blood, strange runes immediately appeared on Emo Qingyun's right arm. As soon as the strange runes appeared, they began to condense terrifying power and radiate with a terrifying presence. At the same time, a memory appeared in Emo Qingyun's head. This memory recorded a cultivation method of the Heavenly Soul Clan. After cultivating it, he could completely draw out the power in his arm. The fiendish shattering the Star River. This is a legacy martial arts secret manual. After digesting the memory in his head, Emo Qingyun immediately became excited. He knew about the cultivation method. According to the description of the cultivation method, he could punch through a planet if he cultivated it to the limit. Emo Qingyun could punch through a planet with a single punch. Just imagining that kind of power caused his heart to tremble. After a short moment of excitement, Emo Qingyun no longer hesitated. He immediately began to refine the purple arm with all his strength. Just like that, 5 days later. After 5 days, under Emo Qingyun's continuous refinement, the purple arm was finally refined. At this moment, Emo Qingyun's entire right arm was covered with strange runes. When activated, these strange runes exuded a shocking presence. The bloodline power of the Heavenly Soul Demon I has increased by about 20%. Chapter 4:16. As Emo Qingyun began to cultivate the legacy martial technique, Demon Fist shattering the Milky Way, the moves contained in the technique appeared in Emo Qingyun's mind one after another. There were a total of 6 moves in the legacy martial technique, Demon Fist shattering the Milky Way. There were 5 finger moves and 1 fist move. The first move, Shaoza Heavenly Spirit Finger, was performed with the pinky finger. The attacking moves were flexible and varied. When cultivated to the extreme, one could defeat a move without a move. The second move, Nameless Sky Concealing Finger, was performed with the ring finger. The aura was hidden and the enemy couldn't tell the direction of the attack. It was impossible to guard against it. The third style, Heaven Piercing Middle Finger, was executed with the middle finger. When the finger struck out, it had the power to sweep through all directions and advance courageously. The fourth move, Upper Devouring Spirit Finger, was performed with the index finger. The finger attack was demonic and could devour the origin energy of others for one's own use to strengthen one's own finger power. The fifth move, Great Sky Demon Finger, was performed with the thumb. The finger attack was earth-shattering and earth-shattering. It was like lightning destroying the world. The sixth move, star-shattering demonic fist, was performed with the 5 fingers. The demonic fist appeared and the demonic fist shattering the Milky Way appeared. After recalling the contents of the demon fist shattering the Milky Way, Emo Qingyun no longer hesitated and immediately began to cultivate it. Under Emo Qingyun's cultivation, strange runes appeared on his right arm and emitted a shocking aura. As soon as this aura appeared, the sky above the Tianyan mansion changed color and demonic clouds gathered. As soon as this scene appeared, the forces around the Tianyan mansion were startled. What's going on? What happened to the Tianyan mansion? Could it be that someone in the Tianyan mansion broke through to the Heaven Star border and is condensing the Heaven Star border picture? What a terrifying Heaven Star border picture! This Heaven Star border picture is definitely ranked in the top 100. In an instant, everyone was speculating in their hearts. While everyone was speculating, a terrifying origin energy exploded from the demonic clouds in the sky and quickly gathered in Emo Qingyun's house. As soon as this power entered Emo Qingyun's room, it gathered on Emo Qingyun's little finger and slowly condensed into the shadow of a finger. However, this finger shadow was not a complete finger shadow. Instead, it was only the joint of one finger. As the finger shadow slowly condensed, Emo Qingyun felt that his heavenly soul demon eye bloodline power and soul power were being consumed rapidly. At the same time, the shadow of the finger became more and more solid, as if it was the finger of an ancient heavenly demon. At that moment, Emo Qingyun's heavenly soul demon eye bloodline power and soul power were completely used up. Then, Emo Qingyun removed his control over the finger shadow. Following that, the finger shadow rapidly collapsed and turned back into the Yuan Qi of heaven and earth. Who? After removing his control over the finger shadow, Emo Qingyun immediately panted and his body became much more relaxed. In just a short moment, he felt that his soul power and heavenly soul demon eye bloodline power were being drained rapidly. After realizing this, Emo Qingyun's expression froze and he said in a low voice, "This legacy martial skill, Demon Fist shattering the Milky Way, is of a very high grade. With my current strength, I'm afraid it's impossible for me to unleash its full power." In just a short moment, my bloodline power and soul power were used up instantly. Emo Qingyun furrowed his brows, a difficult expression appearing on his face. He said, "It's not difficult to recover soul strength, but it's a bit troublesome to recover the bloodline strength in my body." At that moment, while Emo Qingyun was having a headache trying to recover his bloodline power, the soul star in between his eyebrows gradually appeared and emitted an enchanting light. As soon as the enchanting light appeared, Emo Qingyun felt a strange power slowly gathering in the soul star. With the appearance of this power, the bloodline power in his body started to recover slowly. This power is? After discovering this, Emo Qingyun's expression immediately changed and he revealed a look of surprise. After a short moment of confusion, Emo Qingyun's expression changed drastically and he said in shock, "This power is I Demon's Joss Flame power." Joss Flame power? I didn't expect there to be such a power in this world. At this moment, Emo Qingyun's heart was truly shocked by this scene. I Demon was born from the Heavenly Soul Demon Eye, and has a trace of Heavenly Soul Demon Eye's bloodline. It's considered the continuation of Heavenly Soul Demon Eye's Joss Flame. After a short moment of shock, Emo Qingyun thought about it and he understood. After realizing this, Emo Qingyun was pleasantly surprised and said, "If that's the case, I don't have to worry about the recovery of my bloodline power." Then, Emo Qingyun started to recover his bloodline power and soul power, and he continued to cultivate the first move of Demon Fist shattering Milky Way, Shaoza Heavenly Spirit Finger. Then, time passed by slowly as Emo Qingyun cultivated. In the blink of an eye, a day had passed. At this moment, in Emo Qingyun's small house, A complete finger joint shadow condensed in front of Mo Qingyun, and it emitted a shocking aura. At this moment, the complete finger joint was condensed and it didn't dissipate like before. The first move, Shaoza Heavenly Spirit Finger, has finally reached the beginner level. With my current cultivation, I can barely perform one attack. Looking at the finger joint in front of him, a look of surprise appeared on his face. He said excitedly, "From the power of this Shaoza's Heavenly Spirit Finger, anyone below the second level of the Pill Palace shouldn't be able to receive it. Although only a finger joint was condensed, it was barely enough to kill people and defend against enemies." Mo Qingyun was very satisfied with this progress. Today is Han Yan's grandfather's 100th birthday. It's time to go to the Long family. Thinking about the promise he made with Long Han Yan, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and walked out of the small house. Boom! At this moment, when Mo Qingyun walked out of the house, a shocking aura came from Qi Lian's house. Qi Lian's cultivation had broken through to the third level of Heaven Dipper. After discovering this, Mo Qingyun's expression immediately changed, revealing a look of shock. After which, Mo Qingyun's body moved and swiftly headed towards Qi Lian's residence. When Mo Qingyun arrived at Qi Lian's house, Tang Zhan was already there. "Young lord." Seeing Mo Qingyun's arrival, Tang Zhan showed respect and bowed to Mo Qingyun. "No need to be so polite." Seeing Tang Zhan's action, Mo Qingyun waved his hand, indicating that he didn't need to be so polite. Then, Mo Qingyun and Tang Zhan waited outside the house for Qi Lian to break through. 2 hours later, Qi Lian's face was filled with joy and he walked out of the house. His cultivation had broken through to the third level of Heaven Dipper. This old servant greets the young lord. Seeing Mo Qingyun outside the courtyard, Qi Lian's face was filled with joy and he bowed to Mo Qingyun. "Third level of Heaven Dipper, not bad." Mo Qingyun's face was filled with satisfaction. He praised Qi Lian and said, "Today is Han Yan's grandfather's 100th birthday. Follow me to the Long family." "Yes." Chapter 417. Half an hour later, Mo Qingyun and the other two arrived at the Long mansion. When Mo Qingyun and the other two arrived, the Long mansion was already crowded with people who came to congratulate them. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun walked up and handed over his congratulatory gift. He then followed the crowd into the Long mansion. After entering the Long mansion, Mo Qingyun found Long Hanyan in the crowd. She was with Yi Wuyo. Senior sister Wuyo, Han Yan. Mo Qingyun approached the two women and greeted them with a faint smile. "Qingyun, you're here." Seeing Mo Qingyun approaching, Long Han Yan and the other two girls were delighted and greeted Mo Qingyun. Han Yan and Wuyo greet Palace Master Tang. When the two girls saw Tang Zhan behind Mo Qingyun, they immediately showed respect and bowed to Tang Zhan. Long Han Yan and the other two girls didn't know about the relationship between Mo Qingyun and Tang Zhan. Therefore, with their status, it was natural for them to bow to Tang Zhan. "Ladies, there's no need to be so courteous." Seeing the two girls' actions, Tang Zhan smiled and waved at them. Senior sister Wuyo, brother Lu and the others didn't come? After greeting each other, Mo Qingyun looked puzzled and asked Yi Wuyo. "They're all in seclusion, preparing for the battle of the best newcomers in a few days." Yi Wuyo spoke helplessly when he heard Mo Qingyun ask about Lu Fengliang and the others, then he said, "Since something happened to Ruoshui, all of these fellows have been cultivating desperately. Besides that, Ruoshui woke up 2 days ago, and with the assistance of the Icy Dew Golden Pill, her cultivation directly attained the peak of the third level of the Origin Core stage. If that's the case, Ruoshui has profited from her misfortune." Hearing Yi Wuyo's words, Mo Qingyun's expression froze. He was a little surprised. However, after thinking about it for a while, Mo Qingyun felt relieved. Ruoshui cultivated the power of water, which was compatible with the attribute of the Purity Ice Jade Dew Golden Pill. Thus, it would be easier for her to absorb it compared to ordinary people. After the poison in her body was removed, some of the remaining medicinal power would be absorbed by her and converted into cultivation. At this moment, Emo Qingyun and the others were talking. Seeing Tang Zhan here, some of the family heads of the Flame Capital families walked over, trying to curry favor with Tang Zhan. Some of the patriarchs saw that Emo Qingyun and Tang Zhan were familiar with each other and even tried to curry favor with Emo Qingyun. Emo Qingyun immediately became impatient with the crowd's actions. He said to Tang Zhan, "Hall Master Tang, I'll talk to Han Yen and Senior Marshal Sister Wuyo. You don't have to accompany me here." "Alright." Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Tang Zhan did not continue to stay. Following Tang Zhan's departure, those who wanted to curry favor with Tang Zhan also left. Emo Qingyun instantly felt a lot more peaceful. After that, Emo Qingyun and Yi Wuyo chatted and laughed as they waited for the birthday banquet to begin. "Wuyo, so you're here. I've been looking for you for a long time." At this moment, while Emo Qingyun and the others were chatting and laughing, a surprised voice came from the side. Hearing this voice, Emo Qingyun and the others turned to look. Then, a group of arrogant-looking young men entered Emo Qingyun's line of sight. These young men were none other than Ling Hui and the others. Ling Hui and the others approached. When they saw Emo Qingyun beside Yi Wuyo, their faces immediately darkened. When Ling Hui and the others approached, Ling Hui's face was filled with displeasure. He said to Yi Wuyo, "Wuyo, you're the princess of the great Yen dynasty. You should keep a distance from these country bumpkins so that they won't affect your status." "Ling Hui, this is my business. You don't have to interfere." Hearing Ling Hui's words, Yi Wuyo's pretty face immediately darkened as she spoke with displeasure. "Wuyo, you're wrong to say that." Hearing this, Ling Hui revealed a mischievous smile and said, "After this year's Academy tournament, I'll become the champion and propose to the Flame King. At that time, you'll be my fiancé." Hearing Ling Hui's words, Yi Wuyo's pretty face instantly turned pale. She was somewhat worried about this outcome. Seeing Yi Wuyo's worried face, Ling Hui revealed a smug smile. He looked at Emo Qingyun and mocked, "Emo Qingyun, I don't think you were invited to Patriarch Long's 100th birthday banquet, right? You're really thick-skinned to come uninvited." "Brother Ling Hui, maybe he's here to pour the night incense. Unfortunately, he's a little early." Lung Ju, who was standing by the side, also mocked. "Ling Hui, it's none of your business who our Long family invites." Hearing Ling Hui and the others' words, Long Hanyan immediately spoke with displeasure. "Sister Hanyan, we're saying this for your Long family's sake." Hearing Long Hanyan's displeasure, Ling Hui sneered and said, "Today is Patriarch Long's birthday banquet. Those who are here are all people of status. If some country bumpkins were to sneak in and cause trouble, it would affect everyone's mood." Hearing Ling Hui's words, Long Hanyan's pretty face instantly turned red. She planned to argue with Ling Hui and the others. "The banquet has begun. Guests, please take your seats." At this moment, just as Long Hanyan was about to argue with Ling Hui, a warm voice sounded from the main hall of the Long mansion. Hearing this, Emo Qingyun smiled faintly and said to Long Hanyan, "Hanyan, Senior Sister Wuyo, let's go in." Emo Qingyun did not even look at Ling Hui and the others from the start. It was as if he did not see them at all. "Okay." Hearing this, the two girls nodded at Emo Qingyun and walked into the main hall. As the three of them walked into the main hall, Emo Qingyun purposely raised his voice and said, "Hanyan, when guests come in the future, close the door tightly to prevent wild dogs from coming in and biting people." I'll definitely close the door tightly next time." Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Long Hanyan and Wuyo covered their mouths and giggled. "Emo Qingyun, what do you mean by that?" Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Ling Hui and the others' faces darkened and questioned Emo Qingyun. Hearing Ling Hui's words, Emo Qingyun smiled mockingly and replied, "I don't mean anything. I'm just reminding Han Yen." Why, do you think I'm talking about you? Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Ling Hui and the others were at a loss for words. They did not know how to refute. There was no other way. Mo Qingyun did not mention any names earlier. He was the one who made the connection. Who could he blame? Then, Mo Qingyun ignored Ling Hui and the others and walked into the main hall with Long Hanyan and Wuyo. He found a seat and sat down. After a while, when everyone was seated, the banquet began. As the banquet began, everyone congratulated Long Wancho. After a round of congratulations, everyone toasted each other and chatted happily about the younger generation of their respective families. At this moment, while everyone was chatting happily, Ling Wuya sneered and looked at the members of the Qin clan. He said with a smile, "Patriarch Qin Bin, that kid is the one who snatched the arm of the expert from your Qin clan at the Skyburn auction house. Aren't you going to toast him?" Hearing Ling Wuya's words, the expressions of the members of the Qin clan immediately changed, and they instantly understood Ling Wuya's thoughts. Chapter 4:18. Although they knew what Ling Wuya was thinking, when they thought about how Mo Qingyun had ruined the Qin family's opportunity to rise, they all became furious. They originally planned to use all of the Qin family's wealth to obtain the Outer Realm Expert's arm. They hoped that the Outer Realm Expert's arm would increase the Qin family's strength and allow the Qin family to become the sixth faction in the Flame Capital. They didn't think that Mo Qingyun would come out of nowhere and make all of this go up in smoke. Thinking of this, the people of the Qin clan immediately felt anger rising in their hearts. Then the Qin family's patriarch, Qin Bin, looked at Mo Qingyun with an unhappy expression and said, "Young man, your wealth has surprised this old man. However, there are some things that you can't protect. I believe you understand the principle of treasuring a jade ring becomes a crime?" At that moment, Qin Bin's words clearly contained some threatening intent. "Is that so?" Hearing Qin Bin's words, Mo Qingyun faintly smiled and asked, "According to Patriarch Qin, what should I do now? How should I deal with the Outer Realm Expert's arm?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the Qin family's eyes lit up and they all revealed cold smiles. Looking at their expressions, it was as if they had succeeded in some scheme. Perhaps in their opinion, the reason Mo Qingyun asked this question was because he felt that the Outer Realm Expert's arm was too hot to handle and felt that it was best to sell it. Thinking of this, Qin Bin faintly smiled and said, "I presume you have studied the Outer Realm Expert's arm and know that it isn't something you can study or comprehend." Qin Bin paused for a moment and then said, "It isn't a good thing for you to cause potential trouble for something of unknown value. If you are willing to sell it now, this old man can help you. I'm willing to buy the Outer Realm Expert's arm for 10 billion yuan spirit stones." At this moment, Qin Bin spoke as if he had done Mo Qingyun a great favor. 10 billion yuan spirit stones? Hearing Qin Bin's words, Mo Qingyun immediately smiled. His smile was filled with mockery as he mocked, "Patriarch Qin, you and I are not related in any way. Since you are so kind to help me, how can I be so kind as to take your money? How about I just give you the Outer Realm Expert's arm?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the Qin family's expressions unconsciously changed and they all revealed vigilant expressions. Mo Qingyun's actions were too abnormal. Logically, Mo Qingyun should be very resistant. But now? Mo Qingyun actually planned to give them the arm of an Outer Realm cultivator. It had to be said that this scene was somewhat beyond their expectations. At this moment, the Qin family's people began to hesitate. When he saw the reaction of the Qin clan's people, the disdain on Mo Qingyun's face immediately intensified. He smiled and said, "What's wrong? Now that I'm giving you the arm of an Outer Realm expert for free, do you still not dare to take it?" This, looking at the playful smile on Mo Qingyun's face, the expressions of the Qin family members immediately changed, and their vigilance increased. If something was abnormal, there had to be something wrong. They had to be on guard against Emo Qingyun's actions. Seeing the Qin family's clan's actions, Emo Qingyun immediately revealed a look of disdain. He said, "You don't even dare to accept it if I give it to you for free, and you even offered 10 billion yuan spirit stones to buy it. Are you just spouting nonsense?" Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, the Qin family's expressions darkened. They all glared at Emo Qingyun. At this moment, a youth walked out from the Qin family's group. If one looked carefully, they would discover that this youth's appearance was somewhat similar to Qin Chuan's. He was the Qin family's genius junior, Qin Hao. Qin Hao walked out from the crowd, sneering as he walked towards Emo Qingyun. "Brat, since you obtained the arm of a powerhouse from the outer realm, you must have obtained their martial arts inheritance." Qin Hao arrived in front of Emo Qingyun, a sinister smile on his face. He taunted Emo Qingyun, "Do you dare to fight me with the martial arts inheritance of a powerhouse from the outer realm?" "However, you can't." Seeing Qin Hao's actions, the Qin family's elder's expression immediately changed. He wanted to stop Qin Hao. After all, this was the Long family. Moreover, this was Long Wancho's birthday. It was inappropriate for Qin Hao to rashly find someone to fight. No need to stop Hao or let him teach that brat a lesson. However, before the elder could finish speaking, he was interrupted by Qin Bin. After interrupting the elder's words, Qin Bin smiled faintly as he looked at Long Wancho. "Brother Wancho, in order to add some atmosphere to your birthday, Hao intends to find other juniors to spar with to liven things up. You won't mind, right?" Hearing Qin Bin's words, Long Wancho immediately revealed a faint smile. He looked at Qin Hao and smiled faintly. "Haha, Qin Hao is so considerate. I wonder who he intends to spar with?" Hearing Long Wancho's words, Qin Bin sneered. He turned his head to look at Emo Qingyun and sneered. "Hao knows that little friend Emo has obtained the inheritance of a powerhouse from the outer realm. Therefore, he wants to spar with him." Hearing Qin Bin's words, everyone was curious as they turned to look at Emo Qingyun. When everyone looked at Emo Qingyun and recognized Emo Qingyun, they were shocked. Emo Qingyun. The person Qin Hao wanted to challenge was actually Emo Qingyun, the person who had annihilated the Liu family. Some of the people who had witnessed the annihilation of the Liu family immediately broke out in cold sweat when they saw Qin Hao's actions. The person Qin Hao wanted to provoke was actually the ruthless Emo Qingyun. This move of his was really too risky. Emo Qingyun wasn't someone to be trifled with. Of course, while some people were worried for Qin Hao, someone who didn't know Emo Qingyun was also worried for Emo Qingyun. Qin Hao was the #1 junior in the Qin family. He was ranked 5th on the Earth ranking of the Hidden Dragon Institute. Would Emo Qingyun be able to spar with such a person? At this moment, everyone's hearts were filled with curiosity. Although Emo Qingyun's background isn't bad, his cultivation realm is too low. I'm afraid he won't be Qin Hao's opponent. I heard that Qin Hao had obtained a powerful inheritance a few days ago. His strength increased by leaps and bounds, and he's already aiming for the top 3 on the Earth ranking. In the hall, everyone was whispering to each other. While everyone was whispering, Emo Qingyun glanced at Qin Hao indifferently and said, "You're not worthy for me to use the inherited martial arts of an outer world expert." When Emo Qingyun said those words, the hall fell silent. Everyone was shocked by Emo Qingyun's words. Emo Qingyun's current performance was too arrogant. At this moment, everyone was shocked. When Qin Hao heard Emo Qingyun's words, his face darkened. He gritted his teeth and said, "Whether I'm worthy or not, we'll know after we fight." Chapter 419. Qin Hao struck out with his palm. Immediately, his origin energy surged and turned into a giant palm. As soon as the palm was formed, it emitted a terrifying aura, causing the tables and chairs in the hall to tremble. Then, the crowd saw the huge palm cover the sky as it came crashing down on Emo Qingyun. As the palm came crashing down, the seat under the palm was immediately crushed into powder. Seeing this, the crowd's expressions changed drastically. They were all shocked. The power of Qin Hao's palm was enough to threaten a high-level Yuan Dan fighter. It was not something a fourth-stage Yuan Dan fighter could take. At this moment, the crowd began to worry for Mo Qingyun. This is the wild goose demon suppressing palm. 400 years ago, it was the Wild Goose Dynasty's ultimate martial art. I didn't expect Qin Hao to have mastered such a martial art. It seems that he can now fight a high-level Yuan Dan fighter. If that's the case, Mo Qingyun will be in trouble. He won't be able to take this attack. For a moment, the crowd's expressions changed as they uttered words of shock. At this moment, the crowd was shocked and worried for Mo Qingyun. Get lost. A cold voice came out from Mo Qingyun's mouth. Then, everyone saw a saber ray that was tens of meters long flying towards the huge palm at an extremely fast speed. Pucci. Under the bombardment of the saber light, the huge palm was immediately defeated and dissipated. At the same time, the blade light did not stop attacking after destroying the palm. It continued to press down on Qin Hao. Following that, the crowd saw that the flaming blade ray carried with it an astonishing aura as it smashed onto Qin Hao's body. Bang! With a muffled sound, the crowd saw Qin Hao's body fly out. Pucci. After being hit by the blade light, Qin Hao fell to the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was pale. Seeing this, the crowd's expressions changed. They could not believe that this was real. Mo Qingyun, a fourth-stage Yuan Dan cultivator, had actually taken Qin Hao's attack with ease. Qin Hao, who was ranked 5th on the Heaven and Earth ranking, had actually been defeated by Mo Qingyun. More importantly, Mo Qingyun did not even move his body during the process of defeating Qin Hao. The difference between them was too great. Qin Hao lost. Is this true? Qin Hao couldn't even take a single blow from Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun is so strong. Is he really in the 4th layer of the New Year's Day? Everyone was shocked once again. Impossible. Seeing that he had been easily defeated by Mo Qingyun, Qin Hao immediately revealed a deranged expression and uttered a crazy sentence. Then, Qin Hao got up from the ground and attacked Mo Qingyun again. Mad Eagle Meteorite Claw. As soon as Qin Hao attacked, his clothes immediately fluttered, emitting a terrifying aura. Subsequently, an origin energy storm that was even more terrifying than before quickly converged above Qin Hao. After the origin energy had gathered, it turned into a terrifying shadow of an eagle claw and bombarded Mo Qingyun like a storm. Raptor break. In the face of Qin Hao's attack, Mo Qingyun still had an indifferent expression as he sat in the same spot without moving. However, a terrifying origin energy storm had been set off outside of Mo Qingyun's body. This storm of elemental energy also carried a terrifying wind profundity. This was wind profundity that had reached perfection. With the support of the complete wind ultimacy, the origin energy storm outside of Mo Qingyun's body immediately became many times stronger. Complete wind ultimacy. Sensing the wind ultimacy on Mo Qingyun's body, the crowd's expression changed. They were shocked by Mo Qingyun's ultimacy realm. Yuan Dan was only at the 4th level martial stage, but he had already comprehended the complete wind ultimacy. This kind of comprehension ability was too shocking. While the crowd was still in shock, the eagle claw shadow in midair attacked Mo Qingyun forcefully. However, the moment the eagle claw shadow neared Mo Qingyun, it was blocked by the origin energy storm outside of Mo Qingyun's body. The eagle claw shadow was instantly shattered by the storm. Now that you've made your move, it's my turn now. After blocking Qin Hao's attack, Mo Qingyun had a cold expression on his face as he spoke to Qin Hao in a cold tone. As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, his body moved and he quickly struck out a palm at Qin Hao. As soon as the palm struck out, a terrifying origin energy burst out from Mo Qingyun's hand. As soon as the origin energy burst out, It turned into an icy blue sword ray and continued to attack Qin Hao's chest. As soon as the icy blue sword ray appeared, it emitted a terrifying chill, causing ice to form in the hall. What a powerful attack! In the face of Mo Qingyun's attack, Qin Hao's expression immediately changed and he revealed a strong sense of fear. Immediately, Qin Hao did not dare to hesitate and immediately prepared to turn around and dodge. He did not dare to take Mo Qingyun's attack head-on. Trying to escape? Do you think you can escape? Seeing Qin Hao's actions, Mo Qingyun sneered and mocked him. Gravity suppression. Then, Mo Qingyun displayed the level 5 Earth ultimacy and released a terrifying gravity that descended on Qin Hao's body. Deng deng deng. Under the pressure of the gravity, Qin Hao immediately staggered and almost fell to the ground. At the same time, Qin Hao's speed of escape slowed down. As Qin Hao's speed of escape slowed down, Mo Qingyun immediately chased after him and stabbed the icy blue sword ray in his hand at Qin Hao. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Qin Bin and the others' expressions changed and they shouted at Mo Qingyun, "Boy, stop! Stop!" In response to Qin Bin and the others' words, Mo Qingyun smiled disdainfully. Without hesitation, he struck out with his palm and the icy blue sword ray shot into Qin Hao's body. Poochie! Then, Qin Hao's body was pierced through by the icy blue sword ray. Drip, drip, drip. The icy blue sword ray pierced through Qin Hao's body and drops of blood flowed out from Qin Hao's wound. Boy, you're courting death. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Qin Bin's face immediately darkened and he raised his hand to strike at Mo Qingyun. Qin family, you're too presumptuous. Seeing Qin Bin attack Mo Qingyun, Qi Lian's face darkened and he attacked Qin Bin. Then, the crowd saw a red figure emitting a terrifying aura and attacking Qin Bin rapidly. How dare you, slave! This is not the place for you to act presumptuously. Seeing Qi Lian's actions, Qin Bin's expression became ferocious and he spoke through gritted teeth. Then, the crowd saw Qin Bin and Qi Lian fighting each other as they attacked each other crazily. In just a short while, the two of them struck out dozens of palms consecutively, emitting a terrifying aura. However, after dozens of palms, Qin Bin was obviously at a disadvantage, and he was sent flying by Qi Lian. After seeing this scene, everyone's expression immediately changed, revealing a look of shock. In just a short while, Qin Bin, who was in the Heaven Star Border Stage 3, was seriously injured by the red-haired old man. Didn't this mean that the red-haired old man in front of them was at least in the Heaven Star Border Stage 3? The Tianyan Manor, which had always kept a low profile, actually had such a terrifying existence. This scene was too shocking. Chapter 420. How dare you! Ling Wuya's face darkened when he saw that Qin Bin was injured by Qi Lian. He said coldly, Mo Qingyun, aren't you being too arrogant by injuring someone on Patriarch Long's birthday? Arrogant? Mo Qingyun sneered when he heard Ling Wuya's words. Ling family patriarch, according to what you said, shouldn't I have stood there and let Qin Hao attack me? Ling Wuya's face darkened when he heard Mo Qingyun's words. He said coldly, no matter what, you shouldn't have injured someone. Also, you allowed your servant to injure Patriarch Qin. Isn't that a bit too much? Too much? At this moment, the disdain in Mo Qingyun's eyes when he looked at Ling Wuya became even stronger. He mocked, Ling family head, let me ask you something. With Qin family head's Heaven Dipper realm cultivation, isn't it too much for the Qin family to attack me, a Origin Core realm cultivator? Mo Qingyun sneered and said, also, my servant attacked Patriarch Qin. What does that have to do with your Ling family? Is this your Ling family's hall? Or was it because Ling Wuya was celebrating his 100th birthday today? Brat, you're courting death. Ling Wuya's face darkened when he heard Mo Qingyun's words. He said angrily. Then, Ling Wuya released a terrifying qi that crushed toward Mo Qingyun. Qi Lian snorted and stepped in front of Mo Qingyun. He blocked Ling Wuya's aura. Mo Qingyun relaxed when Qi Lian blocked Ling Wuya's aura. He said coldly, Ling Wuya, today is Patriarch Long's 100th birthday. If you want to fight, we'll wait for you outside. Don't disturb Patriarch Long's birthday. As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he ignored Ling Wuya and directly walked out of the hall. When Mo Qingyun walked out of the hall, Tang Zhan stopped hesitating and went to Mo Qingyun's side to protect Mo Qingyun. Tang Zhan did this because he was worried that when Qi Lian and the Lung clan fought, the other elders of the Lung clan and the Qin clan would take the opportunity to sneak attack Mo Qingyun. Everyone's expression changed when they saw Mo Qingyun's actions. They were shocked by Mo Qingyun's actions. Was Mo Qingyun declaring war on the Ling family? The Tianyan Manor, a faction that had been in Flame Capital for less than a year, was declaring war on the Lung family, one of the 5 major factions in Flame Capital. This kind of action was really too shocking. After a brief moment of shock, everyone revealed looks of anticipation as they turned to look at the people from the Lung clan. What would the Ling family do in the face of Mo Qingyun's direct provocation? Should he accept this battle, or should he shrink back? Humph. It seems that the Ling family has been keeping a low profile for too long. Everyone has forgotten about the Ling family's methods. Ling Wuya snorted and walked out of the hall. He said darkly, Since you want to die, then I'll use the blood of your Tianyan manor to restore the dignity of the Ling family. Ling Wuya walked out of the hall as soon as he finished speaking. Seeing Ling Wuya and the others walk out of the main hall, everyone in the main hall hurriedly followed them out of the main hall. From today onwards, there will no longer be a Tianyan manor in Flame Capital. Outside the palace, Ling Wuya's face was gloomy as he spoke in a chilling tone. At this moment, when he said these words, his body emitted a strong killing intent. Everyone's expression changed when they heard Ling Wuya's words. They couldn't help but worry for the Tianyan manor. It seems like Mo Qingyun's words have really angered Ling Wuya. Mo Qingyun is too impulsive. Does he think that the Tianyan manor can go against the Ling family just because they have a Heaven Star Border Stage 3 expert? Haha. It's really unfortunate for the Tianyan manor to have such a junior. Everyone couldn't help but shake their heads. They felt that Mo Qingyun's actions were too unwise. While everyone was worrying for the Tianyan manor, Mo Qingyun said with disdain, Ling Wuya, your Ling family wants to destroy my Tianyan manor? Let's see if you have the ability to do so. Ignorant brat. Do you really think that the Tianyan mansion can rest easy just because they have a 3rd-level Heavenly Dipper Realm expert? Ling Wuya sneered. I don't mind telling you that the Jin family in Flame Capital also had a Heaven Star Border Stage 3 expert. In the end, they were also removed from Flame Capital by my Ling family. The Jin family is the Jin family. The Tianyan manor is the Tianyan manor. Mo Qingyun smiled and didn't take Ling Wuya's words to heart at all. He replied indifferently. It seems like you won't cry until you see the coffin. Since that's the case, I'll fulfill your wish. As soon as Ling Wuya finished speaking, he no longer hesitated and threw a palm strike at Qi Lian. As soon as Ling Wuya attacked, he entered the half-soul transformation state and summoned his Heaven Star Border picture. As soon as the Heaven Star Border picture appeared, it turned into a giant tiger claw and slapped at Qi Lian. Family head, Wantong is here to help you. As soon as Ling Wuya attacked, a Heaven Star Border Stage 3 elder from the Ling family joined in as well. As soon as Ling Wuya attacked, Ling Wantong entered the half-soul transformation state and summoned his Heaven Star Border picture. Celestial Demonic 10,000 Elephant Palm. As soon as Ling Wantong threw out a palm strike, the Heaven Star Border picture emitted a terrifying aura and a shocking amount of Yuan Qi. Once the origin power erupted, it transformed into different images. It was like a myriad of living beings surrounding Qi Lian. Facing the combined attack of Ling Wuya and Ling Wantong, Qi Lian didn't show any fear. He faced the attack with pride. Infernal demonic dragon picture. As soon as the infernal demonic dragon picture appeared, the sky changed color and the entire Long family's territory turned into hell. Roar. Demonic dragons flew out from the infernal demonic dragon picture and flew towards Ling Huia and Ling Wantong. Bang, bang, bang. Immediately after, a beautiful storm of Yuan Qi exploded in the sky and a shocking aura burst out, causing small cracks to appear in the space. Seeing this, everyone's expression changed. They were shocked by the strength of Qi Lian and the other two elders. Of course, what shocked them the most was the strength that Qi Lian displayed. Fighting 1 against 2, he didn't seem to be at a disadvantage. Instead, he seemed to have the upper hand. It was too shocking. The red-haired elder from the Tianyan Manor is so strong. No wonder Mo Qingyun dares to be so arrogant. I didn't expect the Tianyan Manor to have such an expert. It seems like the Tianyan Manor has hidden their strength well. It seems like the Tianyan Manor has the potential to become the 6th power in Flame Capital. At this moment, everyone's expressions were filled with shock as they exclaimed one after another. Chapter 421. Qin Bin attacked again. Just like Ling Huia and Ling Wantong, he entered the half-soul transformation state and summoned the Heaven Star constellation diagram. Then, a picture of the infernal camp appeared in the sky above Qi Lian. After the Hell's camp appeared, skeletal warriors holding crescent-shaped sabers immediately walked out quickly and brandished their sabers at Qi Lian. Qi Lian's expression changed when he saw the skeletal warriors charging at him. He controlled the Hell Demon Dragon diagram to attack them. Ka. Under the attack of the Hell Demon Dragon, the skeletal warriors' bodies collapsed and turned into piles of white bones. Qi Lian's attack didn't slow down after Qin Bin's attack. He continued to attack Ling Huia and Ling Wantong. Seeing this scene, the shock on everyone's faces immediately became even more intense. Qi Lian, who was also in the 3rd level of Heaven Star border, was able to fight 3 opponents at the same time. His battle strength was too shocking. While everyone was shocked by Qi Lian's battle strength, the Ling family and Qin family members were tense. Ling Huia, Ling Wantong, and Qin Bin couldn't defeat Qi Lian even when they worked together. This scene was too out of their expectations. After a short moment of shock, an elder in the 2nd level of Heaven Star border from the Qin family sneered and looked at Mo Qingyun coldly. The 2nd level Heavenly Dipper realm elder of the Qin clan dashed towards Mo Qingyun and said proudly, "Brat, the red-haired old man is fighting right now. This old man wants to see who can save you now." Everyone was shocked when they saw the elder's action. They couldn't help but feel pity for Qi Lian. Mo Qingyun is finished. Without the red-haired elder's protection, he won't be able to escape this time. He was careless this time. It's too dangerous for a Yuan Dan realm cultivator like him to come here. He can only blame himself for being too arrogant. Even the Long family wouldn't dare to offend the Qin family and the Ling family. In everyone's opinion, Mo Qingyun was dead for sure this time when facing this Qin clan elder. Mo Qingyun, let's see how you'll die under Elder Qin Iba's hands. At the sight of this, Qin Chuan and Qin Hao both sneered coldly, feeling proud in their hearts. While Qin Hao and Li Qie were feeling complacent, Long Hanyan and Li Qie's expressions suddenly changed. They revealed anxious looks and shouted, "No!" Bang! At this time, just as everyone was worried about Mo Qingyun, a muffled sound was heard. Then, the crowd saw a figure flying toward the Qin family's group at an extremely fast speed. When everyone saw this person's face, their expressions immediately became sluggish. They couldn't believe that this was real. The person who was sent flying was actually the Qin clan's Heaven Dipper Stage 2 expert, Qin Iba. This scene was simply too unexpected for everyone. At this moment, while the crowd was still in shock, Tang Zhan had a look of disdain on his face as he coldly said, a second-level Heavenly Dipper sovereign actually dared to make a move against an Yuan Dan realm cultivator? Does your Qin clan have any shame? When Tang Zhan said this, everyone's expression changed again. They were somewhat surprised by Tang Zhan's performance. At the same time, everyone understood that the person who sent Qin Yiba flying was the Blood Refining Hall's Hall Master, Tang Zhan. At the same time, they looked at Mo Qinyun with more apprehension and surprise in their eyes. Mo Qinyun could actually make Tang Zhan attack the Qin family's people for him. This ability wasn't simple. Cough, cough, cough. After being attacked by Tang Zhan, Qin Yiba's face turned pale. He coughed continuously and looked at Tang Zhan with anger. He said angrily, Tang Zhan, what do you mean by this? Do you think our Qin family is easy to bully? Nothing. I just don't like you guys. Tang Zhan responded to Qin Yiba's words with disdain and said, also, I think your Qin family is easy to bully. What can you guys do? When Tang Zhan said this, everyone's expression immediately became strange. Tang Zhan was too arrogant. However, everyone understood that Tang Zhan had the capital to be arrogant. At this moment, everyone's gazes towards the Qin family were filled with sympathy. The Qin family was really unlucky to have offended Tang Zhan. This was a person that even the three families and one mansion were wary of. Hearing Tang Zhan's words, Qin Yiba's old face flushed red. However, he didn't dare to let out half a fart. There was no other way. Although their Qin family's wealth wasn't weak, the gap between their strength and the Blood Refining Hall wasn't small. They dared to show off in front of the Tianyan mansion, but they didn't dare to fart in front of the Blood Refining Hall because the Blood Refining Hall wasn't something the Qin family could afford to offend. At this moment, when Qin Yiba and the others' faces were flushed red, Mo Qinyun said indifferently to Tang Zhan, Shopkeeper Tang, I want the lives of the Qin family's people. Please leave their lives to me. Hearing Mo Qinyun's words, everyone was shocked again. They couldn't believe their ears. Mo Qinyun actually said that he wanted the lives of the Qin family's people. Was he planning to remove the Qin family's name? How much confidence and pride did a Yuan Dan realm cultivator have to have dared to say such words? In the entire Yen capital, Mo Qinyun was probably the only person who dared to say such a thing, apart from the five great powers. Then, everyone looked at Mo Qinyun with more admiration. Haha, that's easy. Tang Zhan's eyes flashed with respect at Mo Qinyun's words. He replied with a faint smile. When Mo Qinyun's words entered the Qin family's ears, they immediately felt an intense sense of humiliation. However, at this moment, no one from the Qin clan dared to refute this humiliation. They were worried that if they refuted and caused Tang Zhan to go back on his words, it would be troublesome. This wasn't something they wanted to see. Seeing the Qin family's reaction, the surrounding people couldn't help but sigh in their hearts. They didn't expect that the Qin family would be suppressed by the Tianyan manor in this confrontation. This was truly unexpected. Ah! Just as everyone was sighing in their hearts, a miserable shriek came from the sky. Qin Bin's face was pale as he spat out blood. He fell from the sky and landed heavily on the ground, stirring up a cloud of dust. At this moment, there was a 1-foot-long wound on Qin Bin's chest. Blood was flowing out, and it was a horrible sight. How dare you! At this moment, Ling Wuya shouted angrily while everyone was shocked by Qin Bin's injuries. Following that, the crowd saw a crimson figure rapidly approach the heavily injured Qin Bin. With a palm strike, the crimson figure instantly killed the heavily injured Qin Bin. After killing Qin Bin, Qi Lian did not hesitate at all. He raised his hand and put away Qin Bin's corpse. Tianyan Manor, you've gone too far. Seeing Qi Lian's actions, the Qin family could no longer remain calm. All the Heaven Star border experts attacked Mo Qinyun. At this moment, the Qin family's members attacked Qi Lian. The other people's faces were filled with sorrow. They sighed in their hearts. The Qin family had lost completely in this confrontation. Chapter 422. Once the Qin clan's Heavenly Dipper realm elders attacked, they didn't hold back at all and immediately summoned the Heavenly Dipper pictures one by one. Suddenly, a terrifying aura was emitted from the sky. After the Big Dipper images appeared, the sky above the Long Mansion changed color. Everything was covered by the Big Dipper images. You want to bully me with numbers? I'm not afraid of you. Seeing the Qin clan's actions, Qi Lian sneered and said coldly, Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Break. Qi Lian's body emitted a terrifying bloody light. He raised his hand and blasted a shocking amount of energy into the infernal demon dragon picture. Under the effect of the energy, the infernal demon dragon picture shone brightly and the area it covered increased by a few times. Its aura also became much stronger. At the same time, the infernal demon dragon's aura in the infernal demon dragon picture also became stronger. Roar under Qi Lian's control, the hell demonic dragons with shocking auras and overflowing ferocious might charge towards the Qin clan elders' heavenly constellation portraits. Bang! 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 Under the frenzied bombardment of the infernal demon dragon, a series of shocking noises reverberated in the air. At the same time, there was a storm of energy in the sky. It was like a gathering of dark clouds, causing the sky to darken. Crack! 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 After a while, under the crazy attacks of the infernal demon dragons, a Heaven Star Border Stage 1 elder of the Qin clan had obvious cracks on his Heaven Star Border picture. Bang! Then, the Heavenly Dipper picture broke apart, turning into fragments of the picture. Poof! The Heaven Star Border picture was blasted into fragments. The elder of the Qin clan immediately vomited blood. His face was pale and his aura became weak. The Heaven Star Border picture was the foundation of a Heaven Star Border realm elite. It was as important as the dantian of a martial artist. If the Heaven Star Border picture was damaged, then he would not be able to improve his cultivation in this lifetime. There was even a possibility that his cultivation would regress and become a cripple. Right now, the elder of the Qin clan was in a situation where he would become a cripple. The Heaven Star Border picture is broken. You will be a cripple in the future. It's a waste to live in this world. Let me send you on your way. Qi Lian sneered. He moved and attacked the Heaven Star Border Stage 1 elder of the Qin clan. Stop! Seeing Qi's action, the rest of the Qin clan members' faces changed and shouted at Qi Lian. However, Qi Lian chose to ignore their words. He. Become my cultivation elixir. Qi Lian arrived in front of the other party in a flash. He smiled sinisterly and raised his hand to throw a palm strike at the other party. Immediately after, a huge blood-red palm appeared above the elder of the Qin clan. It covered the sky and covered the sun as it came crashing down on him, grabbing him in the middle of the palm. No, don't. Seeing that he had been grabbed by the sky-covering palm, the elder of the Qin family immediately revealed a terrified expression and begged Qi Lian for mercy. He was he border realm. After killing the first Heaven Dipper realm elder of the Qin clan, Qi Lian casually tossed the corpse into his cosmos sack. Qi Lian didn't hesitate. He continued to attack the other elders of the Qin clan. Ling Wuya and Ling Wantong were also attacking him. However, anyone with a discerning eye could see that it was impossible for Ling Wuya's group to defeat Qi Lian with their current strength. The Tianyan Manor is strong. With this elder here, no one can shake their position. The Qin clan is done for. The Tianyan Manor is the 6th strongest force in Flame Capital. They can't afford to offend them. Everyone sighed in their hearts when they saw Qi Lian display his shocking strength once again. While everyone was still in shock. In midair, among the Qin family's elders, a few more of their Heavenly Dipper portraits were destroyed. As these people's Big Dipper portraits were broken, the expressions of the surrounding people immediately changed. They had a new understanding of Qi Lian's strength. The red-haired elder was invincible under the Heaven Star Border realm. Leng Wuya's expression immediately turned ugly when he saw the elders of the Qin clan being crippled one by one. He said to Long Wancho, "Brother Wancho, for the sake of Yindu's future peace, we can't allow this villain to continue his evil deeds. Let's work together to kill him." Okay, Long Wancho's face changed when he heard Ling Wuya's words. He wanted to help Ling Wuya. However, before Long Wancho could speak, he was interrupted by Tang Zhan. "Patriarch Long, let me give you a piece of advice. You shouldn't get involved in this mess. Otherwise your Long clan will be doomed," Tang Zhan said coldly. He knew about the relationship between Mo Qinyun and Long Hanyan. He didn't want to put Mo Qinyun in a difficult position, so he didn't want the Long clan to get involved. "Hall Master Tang, what do you mean?" Long Wancho's face froze when he heard Tang Zhan's words. He pretended to be confused and asked Tang Zhan, "You should know what I mean." In response to Long Wancho's words, Tang Zhan revealed a mocking expression and replied. When Tang Zhan finished speaking, Mo Qinyun looked at Long Wancho and said, "Patriarch Long, for the sake of Hanyan, I'll remind you to celebrate your birthday in peace. You don't have to worry about anything else." Mo Qinyun's tone wasn't very friendly, and there was a hint of disapproval. In Mo Qinyun's opinion, Long Wancho might be Long Hanyan's grandfather, but he had imprisoned her for dozens of years. Now, he even wanted to make a move on Qilian. In that case, it was impossible for Mo Qinyun to have a good impression of him. "Kid, what's with your attitude?" Hearing Mo Qinyun's words, Long Wancho's face instantly sank, and he uttered some words of displeasure. In his opinion, Mo Qinyun's behavior at this moment was truly condescending. Putting aside the fact that he was the patriarch of the Long family, just the fact that Mo Qinyun wanted to marry Long Hanyan meant that Mo Qinyun shouldn't have spoken to him in such a tone. Mo Qinyun chose to ignore Long Wancho's displeasure and said coldly, "If Patriarch Long doesn't appreciate it, you can try to make a move. I think the next Qin family will be your Long family." Mo Qinyun's words clearly carried a hint of threat. Humph! Long Wancho's face darkened when he heard Mo Qinyun's words. He didn't say anything more to Mo Qinyun. He didn't dare to take this risk. He had no choice. With his eyesight, he could naturally see that if a mid-level Heavenly Star border expert didn't appear, it would be difficult for anyone to suppress Qilian. Even the Long family patriarch couldn't do it. Therefore, the Long family, which didn't have a mid-level Heavenly Star border expert, had better not provoke Mo Qinyun. Humph! Chapter 423. Qinyun, hearing Long Wancho's words, Long Hanyan looked aggrieved and looked at Mo Qinyun with a troubled expression. Seeing Long Hanyan's expression, Mo Qinyun smiled faintly at her and said apologetically, "You go ahead first. You don't have to worry about the matters between me and the Long family." Hearing Mo Qinyun's words, Long Hanyan's expression relaxed and she walked towards Long Wancho reluctantly. However, if one observed carefully, one could see that Long Hanyan was dissatisfied with Long Wancho's actions. In the future, don't interact with this brat. Seeing Long Hanyan walk to his side, Long Wancho was furious and reprimanded Long Hanyan. Hearing Long Wancho's words, Long Hanyan's eyes turned red and she ran back to her residence. "Father, I'm going to check on Hanyan." Seeing Long Hanyan's actions, Yi Wuyo instructed Yi Jingtian and chased after Long Hanyan. Before Yi Wuyo chased after Long Hanyan, she winked at Mo Qinyun and gave Mo Qinyun a reassuring look. Seeing Yi Wuyo's actions, Mo Qinyun smiled faintly and nodded his head in response, indicating that he understood. This girl is getting more and more immature. She's made a fool of herself in front of everyone. Seeing Long Hanyan's actions, Long Wancho was displeased and cupped his hands at the people around him. "Haha, Brother Wancho, you're in the wrong this time. Everyone can see that Han Yen and Mo Qinyun have feelings for each other." Hearing Long Wancho's words, Yi Jingtian smiled faintly and said, "This time, Not only did you not help Emo Qingyun, but you also helped Ling Huya deal with Emo Qingyun. Separating Emo Qingyun and Han Yin is not a wise move. Flame King, I don't agree with what you just said. Hearing Yi Jingtian's words, Long Wancho's face darkened and revealed a trace of displeasure. He said, "If that brat really wants to marry Han Yin, is the tone he should use when talking to me? You are just too stubborn." When Yi Jingtian heard Long Wancho's words, he shook his head and smiled bitterly. At that moment, when Yi Jingtian and the others were talking, Ling Huya's angry voice came from the sky. "Emo Qingyun, the Ling family will remember what you did to us today." Then, everyone saw Ling Huya move and arrive in front of the Ling family. When he arrived in front of the Ling family, Ling Huya did not hesitate. He raised his hand and brought the Ling family away quickly. Qi Lian did not care about Ling Huya's escape. He focused on killing the Qin family members. Without the help of Ling Huya and Ling Wantong, the Qin family members were like chickens and dogs. They were killed by Qi Lian one after another. After an hour, there were no more elders of the Qin family in the sky. They had all been killed by Qi Lian. After seeing this scene, the eyes that everyone looked at Qi Lian were immediately filled with a strong sense of reverence. Of course, while they were in awe of Qi Lian, they were also in awe of Emo Qingyun. Sigh. As expected, when a force rises, there will be other forces that become its stepping stones. It seems like the Qin family has become a stepping stone for the Tianyin manor. They will follow in the footsteps of the Liu family. However, now that the Tianyin manor has offended both the Ling family and the Long family, they are not in a good situation. Everyone sighed in their hearts again. What happened today was too sudden for them. It was too shocking. The sixth force of the Flame Capital had risen so quickly. "Young lord, what should we do with the Pill Palace and Yuan Dan members of the Qin family?" After killing the elders of the Qin family, Qi Lian came in front of Emo Qingyun and asked Emo Qingyun, "Kill?" In response to Qi Lian's question, Emo Qingyun's face was cold. He made a beheading gesture. When he saw Emo Qingyun's action, Qi Lian did not hesitate. He immediately moved and attacked the remaining members of the Qin family. Under Qi Lian's attack, the remaining Pill Palace and Yuan Dan members of the Qin family were killed in an instant. After killing these people, Qi Lian did not hesitate and collected their corpses. He knew that Emo Qingyun was using the corpses to feed Demon. Therefore, the corpses of the Qin family members could not be wasted. "Let's go to the Qin family." Seeing that Qi Lian had killed the remaining members of the Qin family, Emo Qingyun did not plan to stay any longer. He left some instructions for Qi Lian and headed to the Qin family. "Patriarch Long, let me give you one last piece of advice. If you don't want the Long family to decline, the Long family should keep a distance from the Ling family." When Emo Qingyun took a step forward, he paused and said coldly with his back facing Long Wancho. After he finished speaking, Emo Qingyun ignored Long Wancho, who was furious after hearing his words. "Scoundrel, a brat thinks that he is invincible after getting help from a vicious person. How infuriating!" Long Wancho's expression was ferocious. The veins on his neck bulged as he spoke in anger. When they saw Long Wancho's expression, Tang Zhan and Yi Jingtian's eyes were filled with pity. Anyone with discerning eyes could see that the rise of the Tianyin manor was unstoppable. Now, Long Wancho wanted to stand in front of Emo Qingyun because of some personal feelings. This was not a wise move. His action was pushing the Long family into the abyss. In other words, he was no longer suitable to be the patriarch of the Long family. Of course, this was an internal matter of the Long family. Tang Zhan and the others were not in a position to interfere. Tang Zhan shook his head regretfully and said to Long Wancho, "Patriarch Long, since this is the case, I will take my leave first." Before Long Wancho could reply, Tang Zhan walked out of the Long family's mansion. What a joke! Emo Qingyun was the master of Qi Lian, which meant that he was the master of his master. Now that Emo Qingyun and the Long family were in conflict, how could he continue to stay and drink? Brother Wancho, since this is the case, I will take my leave first. When Yi Jingtian saw Tang Zhan leave, he smiled faintly at Long Wancho and was about to leave as well. However, before Yi Jingtian left, he turned to look at Long Wancho and reminded him, Brother Wancho, Emo Qingyun has unlimited potential. You have to fight for him. Having a grandson-in-law like him is better than having an enemy like him. Yi Jingtian did not wait for Long Wancho to reply and walked out of the Long family's mansion. Following which, the other patriarchs of the various large families also used various excuses to leave. In this way, Long Wancho's 100th birthday celebration ended with a tiger's head but a snake's head. Seeing this scene, Long Wancho's face immediately darkened. He clenched his fists and gnashed his teeth. Damned Emo Qingyun, not only did you speak rudely to this old man, but you also ruined this old man's 100th birthday. In this lifetime, don't even think of marrying Han Yen. From today onwards, Han Yen is forbidden to have any contact with Emo Qingyun. Chapter 424. After leaving the Long family, the family heads didn't return to their families immediately. Instead, they followed behind Emo Qingyun and headed towards the Qin family. They all wanted to see if Emo Qingyun was really planning to destroy the Qin family when he went there. After a while, everyone followed Emo Qingyun to the Qin residence. When they arrived outside the Qin residence, Emo Qingyun's face turned cold. He ordered Qi Lian, do it. Don't let anyone go. Yes, young lord. Qi Lian responded. His body moved and entered the Qin mansion in a flash. Qi Lian had followed Emo Qingyun for many years. He knew what Emo Qingyun was thinking. Hell Demon Dragon Portrait. After entering the Qin residence, Qi Lian didn't say anything and summoned the Heaven Star Constellation Art. The moment the Hell Demon Dragon Portrait appeared, it emitted a blood-red light and a terrifying aura. It enveloped the entire Qin residence. Following which, the entire sky above the Qin manor immediately turned dark. It was as eerie and terrifying as the demonic realm of hell. What's going on? What's going on? Who's so bold to cause trouble in the Qin family? Are you tired of living? How dare you cause trouble in the Qin residence? Stay here today. When the Qin residence was enveloped by the Hell Demon Dragon Portrait, the people in the Qin residence were alarmed. Following which, figures flew out from the Qin residence's courtyard. They stopped in midair and emitted the aura of the Pill Palace and Heaven Star Constellation. When these people arrived in midair, they saw Qi Lian above the Qin manor. Their faces darkened. This crimson-haired old man actually came directly to the Qin clan and provoked them. This wasn't something the Qin residents could tolerate. You're courting death. A Heaven Star Constellation Stage 3 expert from the Qin residence said angrily. He then turned to the people behind him and said, People of the Qin residence, listen up. Attack together with me and kill this intruder. Yes, Elder Qin Yuan. The crowd behind the third-level Heavenly Dipper Sovereign nodded in agreement. Following that, everyone quickly surrounded Qi Lian, surrounding him in the middle and attacking him together. Qi Lian smiled in disdain when he saw the actions of the people from the Qin residence. He sneered, a group of old, weak, sick, and disabled people actually dare to attack this old man. In that case, this old man will send you all to accompany Qin Bin and the others. After Qi Lian finished speaking, he did not hesitate to attack the people from the Qin clan. Shortly after, one by one, the infernal demonic dragons flew out from the infernal demonic dragon portrait. The moment the Hell Devil Dragon appeared, it charged towards the experts from the Qin manor. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 experts from the Qin manor were killed. What a terrifying Big Dipper picture! Seeing Qi Lian make his move, Qin Yuan's expression changed. He was shocked as he said, "This person is very strong. Pill Palace Realm cultivators, quickly retreat from the battle. Heaven Dipper Realm elders, immediately summon the Heaven Dipper picture and kill this person with me. Following that, streaks of imposing Big Dipper totems appeared above the Qin Manor. Bang bang bang! Once these Big Dipper totems appeared, they charged towards the infernal demonic dragons. When they collided, there was a deafening sound. After a few exchanges, the Big Dipper pictures of the Heaven Dipper Realm elders from the Qin family shattered under the attacks of the infernal demonic dragons. As the Big Dipper pictures shattered, they were killed by Qi Lian one after another. They fell to the ground from midair. Seeing the Heaven Dipper Realm elders from the Qin family being killed one by one, Qin Yuan's expression was filled with anger and respect. He said in a deep voice, "You. Who are you? Why are you attacking the Qin family? You can ask Qin Bin about this after you die." Hearing Qin Yuan's words, Emo Qingyun's expression turned cold as he replied to Qin Yuan. New Year's Day 4? Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Qin Yuan was shocked. He was surprised by Emo Qingyun's sudden interruption. After a short moment of surprise, his face darkened as he said coldly, "You're just a kid. How dare you interfere with the Qin family's affairs? You're courting death." After Elder Qin Yuan said that, he moved and charged towards Emo Qingyun rapidly. He slammed his palm down on Emo Qingyun. It seemed like he was going to kill Emo Qingyun to vent his anger from Qi Lian's massacre of the Qin family. Bang! However, before Qin Yuan could reach Emo Qingyun, he was sent flying by a terrifying palm force. Puff! Under the force of the palm force, Qin Yuan immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. He was shocked as he looked at the middle-aged man behind Emo Qingyun. Tang Zhan. The person who blocked his attack for Emo Qingyun and injured him was the palace master of the blood refining palace, Tang Zhan. Qin Yuan looked at Tang Zhan in surprise. He was confused and resentful as he said, "Palace Master Tang, the Qin family has never offended you or the blood refining palace. Why are you interfering with the Qin family's affairs?" "I don't care about the Qin family's affairs. However, if anyone wants to lay a finger on Mr. Emo, they'll have to ask my fist first." Tang Zhan sneered, clenched his fists and uttered a cold sentence. Upon hearing Tang Zhan's words, Elder Qin Yuan's expression immediately froze. He looked at Tang Zhan in disbelief. He did not expect Tang Zhan to think so highly of the young man in front of him, who was in level 4 Yuan Dan realm. At this moment, Elder Qin Yuan was shocked and looked at Emo Qingyun in a daze. Nearly half of the Qin family's Heavenly Dipper realm cultivation elders had already been slaughtered under Qi Lian's powerful attack. The remaining Heavenly Dipper realm elders were most likely already spent. "Madman, I'll fight you to the death." Seeing the Qin family's Heaven Dipper realm elders being killed one by one, Qin Yuan ignored Emo Qingyun and attacked Qi Lian crazily. It seemed like he was ready to fight with his life on the line. As Qin Yuan started to fight with his life on the line, the other elders of the Qin family also started to fight with their lives on the line. However, no matter how hard Qin Yuan and the others fought, they still could not escape the fate of being killed. They were killed by Qi Lian one after another. Just like that, 2 hours later, there were no more Heaven Dipper realm elders in the sky above the Qin Manor. They were all killed by Qi Lian. After killing the Heaven Dipper realm elders of the Qin family, Qi Lian did not hesitate and continued to attack the Yuan Dan and Pill Palace. After 2 hours, there was no one left alive in the Qin family. The Qin family was annihilated. After seeing this scene, the people from the various great clans who had followed Emo Qingyun to the Qin mansion immediately felt their hearts tremble. In Flame City, a powerful family that was only weaker than the 5 superpowers was annihilated by Emo Qingyun just like that. At this moment, everyone finally knew how terrifying the Tianyan Manor was. The Qin Manor has been annihilated. I did not expect the red-haired old man to be so strong. It seems like we have underestimated his strength. Where did that Emo Chingyun come from? Why is there such an expert following him? What I don't understand is why the blood-refining hall master, Tang Zhan, would protect him. Chapter 425. At this moment, Qi Lian lifted his hand and took away the corpses of the Qin family members. Then, Qi Lian began to plunder the Qin mansion's collection. Seeing Qi Lian's actions, some of the people outside the Qin mansion began to think, now that the Qin family no longer existed, could they take the opportunity to fish in troubled waters and enter the Qin mansion to get some benefits? As soon as this thought came to their minds, some of the people outside the Qin mansion revealed greedy expressions. Soon, under the influence of their desires, these people gradually lost their rationality. Then, some of them secretly snuck into the Qin mansion with a fluke mentality. It seems that there are quite a few people in this world who are not afraid of death. Seeing these people's actions, Emo Qingyun's lips curled up slightly and a cold smile appeared on his face. His eyes became colder. As he spoke, Emo Qingyun released his soul power and locked onto the few people's whereabouts, leaving a soul mark on them. After leaving a soul mark on them and locking onto their whereabouts, Emo Qingyun did not hesitate and sent a message to Qi Lian through soul sensing, asking him to order Tang Fengtu and the others to come over. After receiving Emo Qingyun's message, Qi Lian did not hesitate and immediately sent a message to Tang Fengtu and the others, ordering them to come to the Qin mansion immediately. After sending a message to Qi Lian, Emo Qingyun said to Tang Zhan in a deep voice, "Palace Master Tang, I have something to trouble you with now. Mr. Emo, if you need anything, just let me know." After hearing this, Tang Zhan immediately showed a respectful expression and responded to Emo Qingyun. Emo Qingyun's face was cold and indifferent. He scanned the people around the Qin mansion and said coldly, "From now on, anyone who comes within 1 mile of the Qin mansion will be killed without mercy." Okay. After hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Tang Zhan's face turned cold and he emitted a strong murderous aura that swept towards the people around the Qin mansion. After instructing Tang Zhan, Emo Qingyun looked at the people outside the Qin mansion and said coldly, "I'll give you 10 breaths of time to retreat 1 mile away from the Qin mansion immediately. Otherwise, you will stay in the Qin mansion forever." After hearing Emo Qingyun's words, the people around the Qin mansion immediately showed their displeasure and expressed their dissatisfaction with Emo Qingyun's words. "Emo Qingyun, aren't you a little too overbearing by doing this? That's right, do you want the Tianyin mansion to become the entire Flame Capital's forces?" Patriarch Ling is right. We can't continue to tolerate this kind of madman. Let's join hands and get rid of him. All of a sudden, all sorts of dissatisfied words came out from the mouths of the crowd. You want to join forces? Emo Qingyun's face sank when he heard that person's words. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he said to Tang Zhan, "Temple Master Tang, kill that person for me. I want to see what other tricks the Lung clan has up their sleeve." Alright. Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Tang Zhan didn't hesitate and immediately attacked the instigator. Facing Tang Zhan, who was at the Mid-Heaven Star border realm, these people couldn't resist at all and were killed in an instant. Seeing those people killed, the remaining people's pupils shrank and fear appeared on their faces. While they were shocked by Tang Zhan's actions, they also looked at Emo Qingyun with reverence in their eyes. At this moment, they suddenly realized that they had underestimated Emo Qingyun. Emo Qingyun's words seemed simple, but there was a lot of mystery hidden in them. Everyone present knew about the enmity between Emo Qingyun and the Lung family. Now that Emo Qingyun wanted to kill someone from the Lung family, no one could object. In this way, Emo Qingyun's killing of those people just now would be perfectly justified. Not only that, Emo Qingyun also took the initiative because of this. At this moment, if anyone dared to argue for those people, they were sent by the Lung family. Emo Qingyun could still kill them without hesitation. As for the real identity of those people who were killed, it didn't matter if they were sent by the Lung family. The important thing was that no one would offend Mo Qingyun for a dead person. It wasn't worth it. None of the people present would do such a thankless task. In this way, everyone could only follow Mo Qingyun's instructions and retreat a mile away from the Qin residence. Following which, the crowd revealed helpless expressions as they retreated towards the Qin residence. Seeing everyone's actions, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly. He was satisfied with their actions. At this moment, while everyone was retreating outside the Qin residence, some of the people who had entered the Qin residence with the intention of taking advantage of the situation also followed the crowd and left the Qin residence. Seeing these people's actions, Mo Qingyun sneered. He ordered Tang Zhan to capture those people. In a short while, those people were captured by Tang Zhan and brought to Mo Qingyun. Seeing the people in front of him, Mo Qingyun's expression turned cold. He said coldly, "The few of you took the spoils of war from the Tianyan mansion. Do you think you can just leave like this?" What spoils of war? I don't understand what you're saying at all. You told us to leave the Qin residence immediately, and we did as you said. Now you're detaining us. What is the meaning of this? Mo Qingyun, don't think that we'll be afraid of you just because you destroyed the Qin family. After being detained by Tang Zhan, the people immediately became furious. They complained to Mo Qingyun. Seeing their reaction, Mo Qingyun's disdain for them became stronger. If it wasn't for the soul imprint that Mo Qingyun had left on them, he might have thought that he had made a mistake. One had to admit that these people's acting skills were on point. I'll give you 3 breaths of time to consider. Take the initiative to hand over the things you obtained from the Qin residence and get lost. Otherwise, die. Mo Qingyun didn't want to waste time talking nonsense with these people. He directly said these cold words. Humph. If you want to condemn someone, you can always accuse them. If you want to kill me, then kill me. I, Jia Wei, am not a coward who's afraid of death. As soon as Mo Qingyun's words fell, one of them pretended to be calm and said something that didn't seem to fear death. Kill! Hearing this person's words, Mo Qingyun's face darkened. He ordered Tang Zhan. After hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Tang Zhan didn't hesitate at all. He directly raised his hand and killed him. Seeing that the former was killed, the remaining people's faces twitched. Reverence appeared on their faces. They really didn't expect Mo Qingyun to be so straightforward. He didn't waste time talking nonsense with them. 3, 2, 1. Time's up. Chapter 426. Time's up. When these words fell into the ears of the few people, their expressions immediately twitched, and fear appeared on their faces. Should they hand it over or not? At this moment, a myriad of thoughts ran through their minds and they began to hesitate. If they handed it over, they could save their lives. If they did not hand it over, they might be killed immediately. After a moment of silence. At this moment, one of them made up his mind. With a cold and arrogant expression, he said, "Humph! I didn't take anything from the Qin mansion. It's useless even if you accuse me. Moreover, the Qin mansion's things aren't the Tianyan mansion's things. What right do you have to stop us from taking them?" That's right. The Qin mansion's things aren't the Tianyan mansion's things. What right do you have to stop us from taking them? When the others heard that, they chimed in one after another. Kill him. When Mo Qingyun heard the person's words, his face immediately darkened. He ordered Tang Zhan to kill him. He did not want to waste his breath on him. Mo Qingyun, you're inhumane. You'll be punished by the heavens if you do this. When the person saw Mo Qingyun's actions, he was immediately enraged and said furiously. However, when he saw Tang Zhan attacking him, he panicked and begged for mercy. Mo Qingyun, I'll hand it over. I'll hand it over. Please don't kill me. However, at this moment, before he could finish speaking, Tang Zhan's palm descended and directly obliterated him. What's wrong with all of you? When Mo Qingyun saw that Tang Zhan had killed the person, he looked at the others coldly and waited for their reply. When they saw Mo Qingyun looking at them, the remaining people immediately trembled. Their teeth chattered as they chattered, producing a crisp sound. Mo Qingyun's ruthlessness and decisiveness had far exceeded their expectations. From the looks of it, Mo Qingyun would definitely not waste his breath on them. The only choice they had was to hand over the things they had obtained or die. As for their threats, Mo Qingyun was not afraid at all. Now that Mo Qingyun had grown up, he wasn't even afraid of the Ling family and the Long family. Why would he be afraid of a few threatening words? Besides, even if they joined forces, what could they do to Mo Qingyun? With all these forces working together, would they be stronger than the Ling family and the Long family? Also, even if they joined forces, could they really unite as one? After thinking about this, the remaining few people revealed helpless expressions on their faces. From the looks of it, if they wanted to live, they could only hand over the things they had obtained from the Qin residents. Immediately after, the few of them no longer hesitated and handed over the items they had obtained. From their point of view, although the Qin clan's treasures were precious, compared to their own lives, everything else seemed unimportant. No matter how good the item was, one had to be alive to use it. Seeing their actions, Mo Qingyun said coldly, "Leave your Qinkuan bags behind and get lost." Mo Qingyun, don't go too far. Not all of the items in our Qinkuan bags belong to the Qin clan. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, a person immediately showed his displeasure and said discontentedly. Hearing this person's words, Mo Qingyun's eyes became colder. He said coldly, "I am going too far. What can you do?" After saying this, Mo Qingyun stopped talking nonsense with them and said to Tang Zhan, "Within 3 breaths, if they don't leave their Qinkuan bags behind, kill them directly." Seeing Mo Qingyun's domineering attitude, these people were angry and looked at Mo Qingyun with gritted teeth. However, although they were angry, they didn't dare to express their dissatisfaction and handed over their Qinkuan bags obediently. Seeing that they had handed over their Qinkuan bags, Mo Qingyun raised his hand and took them into his hand. Then, he checked them. After verifying that there were no mistakes, Mo Qingyun's complexion turned for the better. He waved his hand and said, "Scram. In the future, keep your eyes open. My Mo Qingyun's things are not that easy to take." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the few of them were inwardly enraged and left indignantly. Mo Qingyun didn't care about their dissatisfaction. They were all useless and cowardly people. At this moment, when those people left, many figures flew quickly to Qin's mansion. Tang Fengtu and the others were here. "Greetings, Mr. Mo, Temple Master." Tang Fengtu and the others came to Qin's mansion and immediately bowed to Mo Qingyun and Tang Fengtu respectfully. "Well, no need to be so polite." Mo Qingyun nodded in response. He waved his hand and said, "Fengtu, take some people to search the Qin clan's collection." "Yes." Tang Fengtu nodded and took some people from the blood refining hall into Qin's mansion to search the Qin clan's collection. After instructing Tang Fengtu, Mo Qingyun looked at Tang Rue and said, "Tang Rue, take some people to guard here. Don't let anyone get close to Qin's mansion. Take the opportunity to fish in troubled waters. If anyone comes close, kill them. Tang Zhan, let's go." After instructing Tang Rue and Tang Fengtu, Mo Qingyun didn't plan to stay any longer. He signaled to Tang Zhan and turned to leave Qin's mansion. After leaving Qin's mansion, Mo Qingyun returned to Tianyan Mansion. There were only 2 days left until the Academy Annual Competition and the Triennial Academy Grand Competition. He planned to take advantage of this period of time to stabilize his cultivation and advance further. After a while, Mo Qingyun returned to Tianyan Mansion under Tang Zhan's escort. Not long after Mo Qingyun returned to Tianyan Mansion, Qi Lian and the others also returned to Tianyan Mansion. They handed over all the Qin clan's items to Mo Qingyun. The Qin clan was indeed a powerful clan that was only weaker than the 5 major forces. Its wealth was dozens of times more than the Lu clan's. Other than its wealth being dozens of times more than the Lu clan's, the various precious treasures of the Qin clan were also far from what the Lu clan could compare with. This is the meteorite thunder essence crystal, deceiving cloud illusion beast's inner core, lightning eyes demonic beast's eye. After that, Mo Qingyun began to check the Qin clan's collection. All kinds of precious treasures appeared before Mo Qingyun's eyes. Looking at the treasures in front of him, Mo Qingyun was pleasantly surprised. He said in ecstasy, "With these items, I can refine the 9 melody star-breaking pill and increase the number of heaven star border experts in Tianyan Mansion." Then, Mo Qingyun began to check the other items with excitement. Spacetime meteorite stone, winged dragon horn, blazing parasol tree soil. As Mo Qingyun continued to check, all kinds of precious items were reflected in Mo Qingyun's eyes again. After a few hours, under Mo Qingyun's continuous checking, the Qin clan's collection that had lasted for hundreds of years was finally checked by Mo Qingyun. The richness of the Qin clan's wealth was far beyond Mo Qingyun's imagination. Of course, apart from being surprised, Mo Qingyun was also pleasantly surprised. With the help of the Qin clan's wealth, Tianyan Mansion's strength would definitely soar in a short period of time. Chapter 427. After taking stock of the Qin family's loot, Mo Qingyun sorted out the items in front of him and put them into his Qianquan bag. A moment later, all the items were put away by Mo Qingyun, leaving only some green wood and some silver stones. With the help of these spiritual evergreen wood and glazed thunder stone, the difficulty of comprehending the profound of wood and thunder will be reduced to the extreme. Looking at the green wood and silver stones in front of him, he was pleasantly surprised. He didn't expect the Qin family to have such items in their collection. At this moment, while Mo Qingyun was pleasantly surprised, the 9 temples in the Soul Palace said excitedly, This is spacetime meteorite stone, Tai returning wood, gilded time jade." The 9 temples excitedly said the names of the materials one by one, then said to Mo Qingyun, "Young lord, these are all rare materials for setting up a time shift formation. If you use these materials to set up a time shift formation, the time shift formation can be sped up to 15 times. Reach the level of 15 times? That's a 15 times time shift formation." Hearing the 9 temples' words, Mo Qingyun's expression immediately changed, and he became excited. If that was the case, wouldn't the cultivation speed of everyone in the Tianyan Manor be increased by 15 times? 15 times cultivation speed. If this news were to spread, it would probably shock many people. This way, the time it would take for the Tianyan Manor to rise in the Flame Capital would be greatly reduced. With this thought, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and immediately said to the 9 temples, "If that's the case, let's not hesitate and set up the formation immediately." Then, Mo Qingyun and the 9 temples set up a 15 times time shift formation together. However, Mo Qingyun didn't set up the time shift formation in the Tianyan Manor. Instead, he set it up in the Heixian Palace. This way, the demons in the Heixian Palace could also rapidly increase their strength under the effects of the time shift formation. Mo Qingyun was looking forward to seeing Devil's power increase. Back in Lianyun City, Devil, who was only at the Yuan Dan realm, could easily kill the high-level experts of the Pill Palace. If Devil's strength were to reach the Pill Palace realm in the future, would she be able to kill a Heaven Dipper realm expert? Thinking of this, the anticipation in Mo Qingyun's heart immediately became a little more urgent. If the Pill Palace realm demon could kill a Heaven Dipper Peak expert, then he wouldn't have to worry about Roba and Bathing Peak. Of course, Mo Qingyun had set up the time transfer formation in the Heixian Palace to allow demon to use the power of the time transfer formation to quickly increase her cultivation. He had another idea. He planned to enter Heixian Palace to cultivate as an incentive for the Tianyan Mansion's juniors to cultivate. He would only allow those juniors who were talented or hard-working to cultivate to enter Heixian Palace to cultivate. In addition, those who had contributed greatly to the Tianyan Mansion and were loyal to the Tianyan Mansion would also have the opportunity to enter Heixian Palace to cultivate. After thinking of this, Mo Qingyun's train of thought became clear. He felt that this was feasible. A few hours later, with the cooperation of Mo Qingyun and the 9 temples, the 15-fold time transfer formation was finally set up. After the 15-fold time transfer formation was successfully set up, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate anymore. He immediately let I-Demon enter the time transfer formation to cultivate. While letting I-Demon enter the time transfer formation to cultivate, Mo Qingyun also passed the corpses of the Qin family members to her. After he was done, Mo Qingyun carved out a small area in the area covered by the time-shifting formation and turned it into a simple cultivation room. It would be convenient for the people from Tianyan Mansion to cultivate in the future. About 2 hours later, with Mo Qingyun's hard work, 20 cultivation rooms were separated out. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun let his clone enter one of the cultivation rooms and cultivate inside. Then, he also entered a cultivation room and began to cultivate. After entering the cultivation room, Mo Qingyun didn't cultivate the legacy martial skill, Demon Fist shattering the Starry River. Instead, he began to refine the Jade Spirit Evergreen Wood to improve his Wood Profound. Currently, Mo Qingyun's Wood Profundity had already reached the 6th level. He planned to bring his Wood Profundity to perfection before the Academy Year competition so that his cultivation could take another step forward. After taking out the Jade Spirit Evergreen Wood from his Cosmos bag, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and began to refine it to improve his Wood Profound. As he continued to refine the Jade Spirit Evergreen Wood, the Wood Profound within the Jade Spirit Evergreen Wood was gradually digested and comprehended by Mo Qingyun. Following that, Mo Qingyun's Wood Profundity began to slowly increase. As Mo Qingyun's mastery of the Wood Profound meaning improved, the scene of a living being gradually appeared in his cultivation. Faint images appeared in his mind. In these images there were scenes of plants growing and withering in the end, repeating back and forth. Of course, Mo Qingyun, who was completely focused on cultivating, didn't notice this. Just like that, time slowly passed as Mo Qingyun cultivated. In the blink of an eye, 15 days passed in the time transfer formation. At this moment, Mo Qingyun, who was cultivating, suddenly opened his eyes. Peak level 8 of Wood Profound. It's a pity that I didn't reach level 9. Mo Qingyun was a little disappointed. The results of his cultivation this time didn't reach the level he had expected. However, after a short period of disappointment, Mo Qingyun didn't pay too much attention to it. After all, many times, imagination was one thing and reality was another. Plans could never keep up with changes. Today is already the day of the Academy competition. It's time to head to the Academy. With that thought, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and left Heixian Hall in a flash. After leaving Heixian Hall, Mo Qingyun sent a voice transmission to Qi Lian, asking him to follow him to the Academy. To Mo Qingyun's surprise, after Qi Lian received his voice transmission, he told him that he was in seclusion to refine the blood essence of Qin Bin and the others. After learning about Qi Lian's situation, Mo Qingyun's expression changed slightly, and he headed to Qi Lian's residence. He planned to let Qi Lian enter Heixian Hall to cultivate. This way, the efficiency of his cultivation would be much higher. After a while, Qi Lian entered Heixian Hall and entered a cultivation room to refine the blood essence of the Qin clan members. After sending Qi Lian to Heixian Hall, Mo Qingyun went to find Mo Hongtian and gave him some instructions. He asked Mo Hongtian to pick out some talented juniors from the Tianyan Mansion. After doing all this, Mo Qingyun found Tang Zhan and asked him to follow him to Dian province. After that, Mo Qingyun, accompanied by Tang Zhan, arrived at the Hidden Dragon Institute. At this moment, what surprised Mo Qingyun was that, other than the students of the institute, there were also many people from the major families of the Flame Capital. Seeing the confusion on Mo Qingyun's face, Tang Zhan smiled faintly and explained, "Young lord, during the Triennial Academy competition in Dian province, the major families are invited to watch. Today is the day of the Triennial Academy competition in Dian province." "I see." Chapter 428. Next, Mo Qingyun and Tang Zhan chatted as they walked into the Hidden Dragon Institute. Inside the Hidden Dragon Institute, some of the family heads and elders of the Flame Capital families immediately greeted them respectfully when they saw Mo Qingyun and Tang Zhan approaching. After the incident at the Qin Manor, Mo Qingyun's prestige in the Flame Capital was now no less than Tang Zhan and the others. In terms of ferocity, Mo Qingyun's reputation seemed to be even greater. After all, in the short span of a year, he had destroyed 2 of the top factions in the Flame Capital. Even the 5 great factions could not do such a thing. In response to their actions, Mo Qingyun nodded indifferently and sent them away. After sending away those who had come to befriend him, Mo Qingyun and Tang Zhan continued to walk towards the Wind Hall. As a disciple of the Wind Hall, Mo Qingyun naturally had to go with Lin Tang and the others to participate in the Academy tournament. On the way to the Wind Hall, Mo Qingyun and Tang Zhan bumped into Tang Fengtu and Tang Rui, who had arrived with the people of the Blood Refining Hall. "Mr. Mo, Hall Master." Tang Fengtu and the others immediately showed respect when they saw Mo Qingyun and Tang Zhan. They bowed to Mo Qingyun and Tang Zhan. Tang Fengtu asked respectfully, "Palace Master, I have received an invitation from the Hidden Dragon Institute. They want us to attend the inter-school tournament. Are you coming with us?" Hearing Tang Fengtu's words, Mo Qingyun immediately understood his meaning. He waved his hand at Tang Zhan and said, "You go, I will go to the Wind Hall alone. No one in the Hidden Dragon Institute dares to touch me." "Yes." Hearing this, Tang Zhan nodded and left with Tang Fengtu and the others. After parting with Tang Zhan and the others, Mo Qingyun continued to walk towards the Wind Hall. A short while later, Mo Qingyun arrived at the Wind Hall and saw Lin Tang and the others who were ready to go. When Lin Tang saw Mo Qingyun's arrival, he glared at Mo Qingyun and pretended to be displeased as he said, "Brat, you've finally come. If you had come any later, I would have gone to the Tianyan mansion to capture you." Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and said, "Something came up and delayed me for a while." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Lin Tang and the rest shook their heads helplessly and laughed bitterly. "You really have a lot of problems. You just returned to Flame City not long ago, and you're already so restless." Lin Tang continued, "However, what I didn't expect was that a family as strong as the Qin family would actually fall in your hands. Just how many secrets are you hiding?" You'll know in the future." In response to Lin Tang's words, Mo Qingyun laughed awkwardly and didn't reply directly. Lin Tang didn't say much about Mo Qingyun's reply. He only revealed a mischievous smile and said, "However, the next time you fight with someone, inform me first. This old man hasn't exercised his muscles for a long time. Hasn't exercised his muscles for a long time." Hearing Lin Tang's words, Lin Shi and the others were dumbfounded. They all smiled bitterly. Like master, like disciple. Mo Qingyun was indeed Lin Tang's disciple. Their personalities were too similar. After laughing bitterly, Lin Shi looked at Lin Tang and pretended to be displeased. "Big brother, Qingyun is young and frivolous. Are you going to blindly interfere?" Hearing Lin Shi's words, Lin Tang smiled awkwardly and said, "Haha, let's not talk about this. Let's go to the Academy's central square." Following Lin Tang's words, Everyone stood up and walked towards the Hidden Dragon Academy's central square. Qingyun, these two are Wang Kai and Li Jing. They will be participating in the Earth Class Year battle with you. Later on, you have to take care of them. On the way to the central square, Lin Tang smiled and pointed at the two youths who were at the peak of Yuan Dan Stage 6. Okay. Hearing Lin Tang's words, Emo Qingyun glanced at Wang Kai and Li Jing and nodded at Lin Tang. If that's the case, we'll thank Junior Emo in advance. Seeing Emo Qingyun's gaze turn towards the two of them, Wang Kai and Li Jing immediately revealed a respectful expression and thanked Emo Qingyun. They had already heard about Emo Qingyun's matters. In the Long Clan, Emo Qingyun was able to easily defeat Qin Hao, who was ranked 5th on the Earth ranking. His strength definitely surpassed the two of them. Thus, in the upcoming battle, it wasn't impossible for them to rely on Emo Qingyun to take care of them. Lin Tang introduced Emo Qingyun to Wang Kai and Li Jing. Then, Lin Tang introduced Emo Qingyun to the Earth Class students and the Heaven Class students who were participating in the Battle of the New Generation battle. These people's attitudes towards Emo Qingyun were similar to Wang Kai and Li Jing. Even Ning Wei, who had met Emo Qingyun once in the Heaven Class, had a look of reverence on his face. It seemed that Emo Qingyun's destruction of the Qin clan had already made Ning Wei and the others revere him. After about 15 minutes, Emo Qingyun and the others arrived at the central square. The central square's shape was similar to the ancient Roman Colosseum. In the middle was a huge circular field, and around the field were rows of spectator seats. These spectator seats were arranged in the shape of a ladder. The higher the level, the more seats there were. With a rough estimate, the entire spectator seats could hold about 100,000 people. At this moment, the spectator seats were already filled with people. The east, west, and south sides were all filled with people. They were all from the various factions of Flame City. They had received an invitation from the Hidden Dragon College to participate in the inter-school tournament. As for the north side of the spectator seats, it was where the hall masters and elders of the various palaces Saturday. However, at this moment, in the middle of the hall masters and elders of the various palaces sat a middle-aged man with a golden crown on his head. He was the great Yan dynasty's king of flame, Yi Jingtian. After a simple glance at the spectator seats, Emo Qingyun's gaze shifted to the bottom of the spectator seats. There were many small platforms there. On each platform, the name of a palace was written. These small platforms were where the disciples of the various palaces who were participating in the inter-school tournament would gather. Below these small platforms was the Colosseum area. The Colosseum area was extremely large. It was close to 10,000 acres. At this moment, there were many fighting platforms set up in the middle of the Colosseum. On these fighting platforms there were array runes flashing. It seemed like these fighting platforms were stabilized by array runes. In addition, beside these fighting platforms, there were many black cages. Inside these cages, there were many bewitching cold lights. These cold lights were the eyes of demonic beasts. There are demonic beasts locked up in these cages. Seeing the black cages beside the fighting platforms, Emo Qingyun's expression changed. He was a little surprised by this discovery. At this moment, while Emo Qingyun was shocked by the demonic beasts beside the fighting platforms, Lin Tang pointed at a flowing light tunnel and said to Emo Qingyun and the rest, "Follow this tunnel. According to the instructions in the tunnel, you can ascend to the cloud platform of Wind Palace." Chapter 429. After entering the light tunnel, Emo Qingyun saw that some students from the other side halls were heading towards the tunnel. Seeing this, Emo Qingyun followed the crowd and walked towards the tunnel. After walking for a while, Emo Qingyun saw many forks in the tunnel that led to the cloud platforms of the other side halls. Then, Emo Qingyun and the rest walked while looking for the forks that led to the Wind Hall. However, what Emo Qingyun did not expect was that while he was looking for the forks that led to the Wind Hall, he actually met Lu Fengliang and the rest in the tunnel. At present, Lu Fangliang and the rest were looking for the forks that led to the other side halls with the people from the other side halls. After sizing up Lu Fangliang and the rest, Mo Qingyun was surprised to see that Ruo Shui was also with Lu Fangliang and the rest. Looking at her, she should have fully recovered from her injuries and was preparing to participate in the battle of the best newcomers. Qingyun, thank you for finding the Millennium Ice Lotus for me to refine the Ice Dew Gold Pill. Seeing Mo Qingyun approaching, Ruo Shui smiled sweetly and thanked Mo Qingyun. Hearing Ruo Shui's words, Mo Qingyun waved his hand and smiled faintly. No need to thank me. Speaking of which, your injuries were caused by me. Finding the Millennium Ice Lotus to refine the Ice Dew Gold Pill to save you is what I should do. After exchanging greetings with Lu Fangliang and the rest, Mo Qingyun looked puzzled and asked, Brother Lu, you guys are? Mo Qingyun was puzzled. Everyone came with their respective hall masters, so it was normal for them to bump into each other. However, now that Long Yutian and the rest were all together, it was a little unusual. Seeing Mo Qingyun's puzzled expression, Long Yutian took a sip of wine and smiled awkwardly. It's like this. The first round of the Academy's annual battle is an elimination battle. 100 side halls will be arranged to fight together. I wanted to discuss with everyone. If everyone is assigned together, we can cooperate in the battle later. Boss, do you want to join hands with us? After hearing Long Yutian's words, Ling Luo's face lit up with excitement. He looked at Mo Qingyun with anticipation. Hearing Ling Luo's words, Mo Qingyun revealed a helpless expression. He smiled bitterly and said, I'm participating in the Earth Grade battle. I'm afraid I won't be able to join you guys. As soon as Mo Qingyun said that, Long Yutian and the others were dumbfounded. Their faces turned gloomy. However, after a brief moment of depression, Long Yutian chuckled and said, Without Qingyun participating in the battle of the newcomers, we might have a chance to obtain first place. Not bad. Hearing this, Ling Luo's eyes lit up. He looked at Long Yutian and the others and said with a smirk, Brother Liang, Brother Long, I won't go easy on you when the time comes, hee. A bunch of trash trying to get first place in the best newcomer king battle? Dream on. At that moment, while Mo Qingyun and the others were talking, a disdainful voice was heard. Hearing the disdainful voice, Mo Qingyun and the others' expressions changed, and they looked at the person who spoke. They saw Ling Hui leading a group of people and looking at Mo Qingyun and the others with disdain. After glancing at Mo Qingyun and the others, Ling Hui's face darkened. He said to a young man beside him, Han Qian, teach these guys a lesson in the best newcomer king battle later. Mr. Ling Hui, I don't need you to say anything. I will let them know the consequences of offending Mr. Ling Hui, Han Qian replied to Ling Hui with a dark smile. Very good. As long as you work for me, I won't mistreat you. Ling Hui nodded in satisfaction at Han Qian's reply. He looked at Mo Qingyun and the others and said with a smile, Han Qian's ranking in the grand examination is higher than yours. Do you still think you have a chance of getting first place in the best newcomer king battle? After saying those proud words, Ling Hui smiled coldly and said to Mo Qingyun, Mo Qingyun, if you don't want your friends to be crippled in the best newcomer king battle later, cripple your own cultivation now and kowtow to me. Then, take the people from the Tianyan mansion and scram out of Flame City. Mo Qingyun understood Ling Hui's intention. He wanted Han Qian to cripple Lu Fangliang and the others in the best newcomer king battle. Ling Hui, ranking high in the grand examination doesn't mean he can get a good result in the best newcomer king battle. At that moment, Yi Wuya walked over with a group of people and replied unhappily. She looked at Ling Hui with disgust. From Yi Wuya's appearance, she should be representing her branch hall in the best newcomer king battle. Hearing Yi Wuya's words, Ling Hui was first stunned, then he sneered, Wuyo, that's not good. No matter what, I'm about to become your fiancé. How can you go against us at every turn? Pa, I won't marry someone like you. Yi Wuyo showed some anger when she heard Ling Hui's words. She said coldly, Ling Hui, I will defeat you in front of everyone in the best newcomer king battle and shatter your dreams. Haha, is that so? When Ling Hui heard this, he smiled nonchalantly and said, Wuyo, after hearing your words, I'm really looking forward to the upcoming battle between you and me. Ling Hui smiled proudly. After replying to Yi Wuyo, he looked at Mo Qingyun and said, Mo Qingyun, don't think that Han Qian's cultivation hasn't broken through to the first layer, fourth layer, because his talent isn't enough. This is caused by our Ling family's ancestor using a secret technique. When the time comes, your friends will be crippled by Han Qian, haha. Ling Hui, you're despicable and shameless. Hearing Ling Hui's words, Yi Wuyo and the others were enraged and began to curse at Ling Hui. Senior Wuyo, it's just a mad dog. There's no need to pay attention to it. Seeing the proud faces of Ling Hui and the others, Mo Qingyun showed some impatience. He said to Yi Wuyo and the others, there's no need to get angry with a mad dog. The more you pay attention to it, the more it will bark. Just ignore it. Haha, that's true. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Yi Wuyo and the others immediately smiled and agreed with Mo Qingyun's words. Following that, Yi Wuyo and the others followed behind Mo Qingyun and walked into the tunnel. Seeing that Yi Wuyo and the others ignored him, Ling Hui was immediately dumbfounded. He felt as if he had punched cotton and couldn't exert any strength. When this feeling appeared, Ling Hui became furious. He looked at Mo Qingyun and gnashed his teeth. Mo Qingyun, don't be so proud. In the Earth grade class competition, I'll definitely find someone to deal with you. After saying those words of hatred, Ling Hui didn't continue to stay and looked for the path to his branch palace. After a while, Mo Qingyun and the others found the paths to the various palaces and headed towards the cloud platform of their respective branch palaces. Boom, boom, boom. When Mo Qingyun and the others walked onto the cloud platform of the Wind Palace, the cloud platform of the Wind Palace immediately rose and floated in the air. It was supported by a cloud. So this is what the cloud platform means. Chapter 430. When Mo Qingyun ascended the cloud platform, the students from the other palaces also ascended the cloud platforms one after another. In an instant, the genius students from the other palaces were sent into the air by the cloud platforms. About 2 hours later, all the cloud platforms in the central square were suspended in the air. Seeing that all the cloud platforms were suspended in the air, Huang Zhongyue, who was sitting on the north side of the auditorium, said seriously, since all the students from the other palaces are here, the academy tournament will officially begin. As soon as Huang Zhongyue finished speaking, an elder behind him walked up and added, It's time for the Triennial Academy tournament again. This time, the academy tournament will be the same as before. Students from all 3 classes will compete at the same time. Divide the battle areas. As soon as the elder finished speaking, he gestured to the elders in the central square to divide the battle areas. Subsequently, the academy elders in the central square began to act, dividing the battle in the central square into different areas. Boom, 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 a series of sounds came from the ground. Then, everyone saw that the battle platforms in the central square started to move. In a short while, the battle platforms in the central square were divided into 3 areas for the students from the 3 classes to fight. After the battle platforms were divided into 3 areas, the battle platforms in each area were combined to form a huge battle platform. Next, I will announce the rules of the Academy tournament. The first round will be an elimination battle. 100 palaces will form a group and fight on the same battle platform. Seeing that the battle platforms were divided into areas, the elder's face turned serious and said again, In addition, during the process of fighting, there will be demonic beasts fighting with you. Therefore, during the process of fighting, you have to be careful of the demonic beast's sneak attack. Finally, the 10 palaces left on the battle platform will advance to the next round. During the battle, no one is allowed to kill. The elder explained the rules of the battle to everyone one by one. After explaining the rules of the battle, the elder took out a name list and said, "Now, the palaces whose names I have announced will be the first group in the elimination battle. Fire Palace, Soul Palace, Flower Palace, Valley Palace." Next, the elder read out the names of the 100 palaces one by one. Tut, 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 as the old man read out the names of the 100 branch halls, a flight of stairs appeared in the air, connecting to the cloud platforms of the various branch halls, allowing the disciples of these branch halls to ascend to the battle stage. Seeing the scaling ladders appear, the disciples of the human class from the various palaces did not hesitate and stepped onto the scaling ladders one after another, walking up to the battle stage. Clang, 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 as the disciples from the various palaces stepped onto the battle stage, the cages surrounding the battle stage were opened one after another. Asterisk roar asterisk. As soon as these cages were opened, the demonic beasts locked in them let out a heaven-shaking roar and walked onto the battle stage with an imposing aura. Necromancer Wolf. Seeing the demonic beast on the fighting ring, Mo Qingyun's expression immediately changed, revealing a look of surprise. The Necro Hornwolf was a demonic beast that grew up in the battlefield. It was cruel and bloodthirsty by nature. Once it started fighting, it would not stop until it was dead. It was a demonic beast that gave people a headache. It's actually the Necro Hornwolf. Looks like the first round of elimination will not be so easy. Mo Qingyun's expression was solemn as he sighed. He then said, facing the sneak attack of the Necro Hornwolf, "If you want to avoid casualties, you have to get rid of the Necro Hornwolf first." At this moment, just as Mo Qingyun was sighing in his heart, the battle on the battle stage had already begun. The students on the battle stage had the same idea as Mo Qingyun. When the battle started, they did not fight with each other, but joined forces to deal with the Necro Hornwolf first. However, these Necro Hornwolf were extremely strong and had the characteristic of not fearing death, so it was not easy to deal with them. At this moment, although the number of Necro Hornwolf on the battle stage was only 1/30th of the number of students, they still had the upper hand against the combined attack of 300 students. Now, as the battle of the human class began, the elder spoke again. "Next, I will announce the names of the Earth Class Year Battle's first round of elimination. Spear Hall, Array Hall, Music Hall, Painting Hall, Wind Hall, Wind Hall." Hearing the elder's words, Mo Qingyun's expression changed slightly. He did not expect to be in the first group. At this moment, while Mo Qingyun's face was filled with surprise, the cloud ladder was connected to the cloud platform of the Wind Hall. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and walked up the cloud platform to the battle stage. When Mo Qingyun walked up the cloud ladder, Wang Kai and the other two beside him hurriedly followed. After a while, Mo Qingyun and the other two arrived on the battle stage. "You are Mo Qingyun?" When Mo Qingyun arrived on the battle stage, a golden-haired youth from the Spear Hall looked at Mo Qingyun with disdain. "Junior Qingyun, this guy is Deng He, the golden-haired berserk spear, who is ranked 3rd on the Heaven and Earth ranking list." Wang Kai had a look of awe on his face as he looked at the golden-haired youth in front of him. He whispered something into Mo Qingyun's ear. "Ranked 3rd on the Earth ranking list?" Hearing Wang Kai's words, Mo Qingyun was surprised. He was a bit surprised by this person's identity. Looking at Mo Qingyun, Deng He disdainfully said, "A 4th stage Yuan Dan boy can actually make Ling Hui take out 100 million spirit essence stones. He really thinks highly of you." Ling Hui took out 100 million spirit essence stones to deal with him? Hearing Deng He's words, Mo Qingyun was stunned once more. He sighed inwardly at how generous Ling Hui was. After saying these words of disdain, Deng He said, "But this is also good. I can easily obtain 100 million spirit essence stones." These days, spirit essence stones are becoming easier and easier to earn. Haha, is that so? Hearing Deng He's words, Emo Qingyun smiled. He playfully said, but I'm afraid you'll be disappointed this time. Also, let me give you a word of advice. You'd best not have any ideas about that 100 million spirit essence stones. Otherwise, even if I gave you 100 million spirit essence stones, you still wouldn't be able to heal your injuries. Are you trying to scare me? Deng He involuntarily smiled when he heard Emo Qingyun's words. He said self-righteously, I, Deng He, hate people who think they're infallible the most. Since you're so confident in yourself, all the more reason for me to defeat you and viciously humiliate you. Roar. At this moment, while Emo Qingyun and Wang Kai were talking, the cage beside the battle stage opened. Several tall figures rushed out, emitting a gloomy and cold aura. These were the Peak 6 stage Yuan Dan stage Necro-Demon Wolves. As soon as the Necro-Demon Wolves rushed out of the cage, they rushed towards the students on the battle stage. Senior brother Deng He, these Necro-Demon Wolves are very strong. Why don't we work together to deal with them first and then compete for the qualification to advance? After being attacked by the undead demon wolves, some of the students quickly approached Deng He and begged for his help. A bunch of trash. Are you worthy of working together with me? Hearing that person's words, Deng He said disdainfully and directly attacked that person. Bang! Under Deng He's attack, that person was immediately sent flying out of the battle stage, heavily injured. Chapter 431. Junior Brother Emo, what should we do now? Wang Kai and the other man asked Emo Qingyun for instructions in panic as they looked at the chaotic fighting stage. Let's retreat to the side first. Ignore them. Emo Qingyun replied indifferently when he heard Wang Kai's words. He led the two of them to the edge of the battle platform. At this moment, Emo Qingyun was retreating to the edge of the fighting stage with Wang Kai and the other man. Roar! An undead demon wolf howled at the sky and leaped up, pouncing towards the three of them. Gravity suppression. Emo Qingyun's face turned cold as he looked at the undead demon wolf charging towards him. He released the level 5 Earth Ultimacy to suppress the undead demon wolf. Under the suppression of the 5th level Profound Meaning of Earth, the undead demonic wolf's body immediately paused, and its speed of attack decreased slightly. Emo Qingyun didn't hesitate in the slightest when he saw this, and he immediately raised his hand and blasted it towards the wolf. Bang! The undead demon wolf was sent flying by Emo Qingyun's attack and landed in the center of the fighting stage. However, Emo Qingyun hadn't struck a lethal blow at this moment, so the Necro-Demon Wolf's injuries weren't very heavy. After sending the undead demon wolf flying, Emo Qingyun quickly retreated to the edge of the fighting stage with Wang Kai and the other man. When he arrived at the edge of the fighting ring, Emo Qingyun immediately raised his right hand and drew in the air. Following that, Emo Qingyun waved his right hand and strange formation runes appeared in the air. They emitted a lustrous light. Drawing an array. When they saw Emo Qingyun's actions, Wang Kai and the other man's expressions instantly changed, revealing a look of shock. Emo Qingyun's actions were beyond their expectations. Then, Wang Kai and the other man unconsciously looked at Emo Qingyun with more respect in their eyes. While Wang Kai and Luo Yunyang were shocked, Emo Qingyun successfully drew the array formation in his hands. Once the array was completed, it shone brightly and enveloped Emo Qingyun and the other two. You will not be attacked as long as you are in the illusionary reality mystic spiritual array. After finishing setting up the formation, Emo Qingyun revealed a faint smile and gave instructions to Wang Kai and the other two. Roar! While Emo Qingyun was instructing Wang Kai and the other man, the undead demon wolf that had been sent flying by Emo Qingyun attacked again. Bang, bang, bang. When the Necro-Demon Wolf's claws struck the illusionary reality mystic spirit formation, it immediately produced a series of noises and emitted waves of astonishing energy fluctuations. However, Even though the necromancer demon wolf's attacks caused a huge commotion, the illusionary reality profound spirit formation was not damaged in the slightest under its attacks. Seeing this scene, Wang Kai and the other man's expressions changed again, and their expressions became much more relaxed. At this moment, they finally believed Mo Qingyun's words and admired Mo Qingyun even more. Seeing Wang Kai and the other man's relaxed expressions, Mo Qingyun did not say anything more. He sat down cross-legged in the array and closed his eyes to rest. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Wang Kai and the other man did not think too much and sat down beside Mo Qingyun. However, although Wang Kai and the other man sat down beside Mo Qingyun, they were not as calm as Mo Qingyun. Their eyes were still wide open as they observed the situation outside the array. At this moment, outside the array, the undead demon wolf that had been sent flying by Mo Qingyun saw that it could not break through the array and changed its target. It attacked the other students crazily. Next, the students on the battle stage subconsciously divided into several camps in the face of the undead demon wolf's attack. A portion of the stronger students from the side halls formed their own camp and blocked the undead demon wolf's attack. Their thoughts were the same as Mo Qingyun's. They did not kill the undead demon wolf, but only pushed it back and sent it flying to the side of the other students. In addition, in the process of pushing back the undead demon wolf, these students would occasionally take advantage of other students who were in danger. They would sneak attack them and send them flying off the battle stage, eliminating them from the battle stage. The remaining students who were of average strength formed groups of 3 to 5 to block the undead demon wolf's attacks. Some of them dodged the undead demon wolf's attacks and looked for targets to join forces with. As for the weakest students from the side halls, they became the targets of the undead demon wolf and the other students from the side halls. In this way, as time passed, the number of students on the battle stage decreased. An hour later, out of the 100 students on the battle stage, there were only 60 students from the side halls left. The number of undead demon wolves remained at 10. It seemed that everyone had the same idea. They planned to keep the undead demon wolves alive and attack the other students from the side halls. Of course, other than not wanting to kill the undead demon wolves, they were also worried that they would be attacked by the other students from the side halls while they were killing the undead demon wolves. As the number of students on the battle stage decreased, the pressure on the students on the battle stage increased. The frequency of the attacks also increased. Subsequently, the rate at which the students on the battle stage were eliminated from the side of the undead demon wolves increased. 2 hours later, there were less than 20 students from the side halls left on the battle stage. Moreover, some of the students from the side halls were no longer the perfect number of 3. However, the students who were able to remain in the fighting ring at this time were not weak. Many of them were ranked in the top 1,000 of the Earthboard. In the face of these students' attacks, there were finally casualties among the undead demon wolves. 4 of them were killed by the crowd. Seeing this, the crowd no longer held back and began to attack the undead demon wolves. They knew that at this point, it was impossible to rely on the undead demon wolves to eliminate the rest of the students. Subsequently, under the crowd's attacks, the remaining 6 undead demon wolves quickly followed in the footsteps of the former and were killed one after another. Deng he exclaimed in surprise as he pulled out his spear from the body of an undead demon wolf. He looked towards the edge of the battle stage. He realized that Mo Qingyun, Wang Kai and the other 2 were sitting there leisurely, as if none of this had anything to do with them. Humph. So you guys borrowed the array from the array hall to avoid the first round of elimination? Deng he sneered as he slowly walked towards Mo Qingyun. He said coldly to Mo Qingyun, Mo Qingyun, I thought that you guys had already been eliminated by the undead demon wolves. I didn't expect the 3 of you to be hiding here like cowards. After uttering these cold words, Deng He's gaze turned even colder. He continued, Do you think that you can pass by just being a coward? Deng He continued, I don't mind telling you that on this battle stage, if you are challenged by someone, you must accept the challenge within 15 minutes. So, you should understand what I mean, right? You mean you intend to challenge me? Emo Qingyun's gaze on Deng, he immediately turned a few degrees colder. His tone was somewhat chilly. Chapter 432. Looks like you're not stupid. Seeing that Emo Qingyun understood his intentions, Deng He sneered and nodded. Don't hide in the formation anymore. Come out and fight. Junior brother Mo, be careful. Hearing Deng He's words, Wang Kai and Lin Chen's expressions immediately tensed up as they spoke nervously to Mo Qingyun. Since you're so stubborn, then I won't hold back. Mo Qingyun revealed a brilliant smile as he looked at Deng He, who was outside the formation, as if he was a good friend that he hadn't seen in years. However, anyone with a discerning eye could tell that there was a chill behind Mo Qingyun's smile. Following that, Mo Qingyun walked out of the formation step by step under Wang Kai and Lin Chen's worried gazes. When Mo Qingyun walked out of the formation, some of the surrounding gazes were attracted to him. This brat is going to fight with Deng He of the Spear Hall? In the spectator stands, Lin Tang was shocked when he saw Mo Qingyun's actions. There was a hint of worry in his eyes. Lin Tang had heard of the number 1 genius of the Spear Hall's Earth class, Deng He, who was ranked 3rd on the Earth list. Therefore, Lin Tang was worried when he saw Mo Qingyun fighting with Deng He. After all, Mo Qingyun could defeat Qin Hao, who was ranked 5th on the Earth list, but that didn't mean that he could defeat Deng He, who was ranked 3rd on the Earth list. Big brother, Deng He is not weak. Qingyun might have some trouble fighting with him. Lin Shi was also worried. Her expression was tense as she said to Lin Tang, "What if Qingyun can't defeat Deng He? Wouldn't that be?" "Don't be anxious. Let's wait and see." Before Lin Shi could finish her words, Lin Tang raised his hand to interrupt her. His expression became even more serious. The problem that Lin Shi was worried about was also what he was worried about. At this moment, Lin Tang and Lin Chen's expressions were tense as they were worried that Mo Qingyun could not defeat Deng He. Deng Chen, the Hall Master of Spear Hall, looked at Lin Tang with a faint smile and said, "Hall Master Lin Tang, I'm really sorry. I didn't expect your Wind Hall to be eliminated in the first elimination round." "Hall Master Deng Chen, the results of the competition are not out yet. Isn't it too early for you to come to a conclusion?" Lin Tang replied unhappily after hearing Deng Chen's words. Deng Chen smiled meaningfully and did not refute Lin Tang's words. He continued, "Palace Master Lin Tang, I've always heard that your disciple Mo Qingyun is extremely talented. Today I've seen that he really lives up to his reputation. Within a year, he has broken through 4 levels. This kind of talent is truly unmatched." Deng Chen changed the topic and said, "However, sometimes it's not good to have too much talent. With your disciple's talent, if he were to participate in the new generation battle, he would definitely win the first place. But now, he has to participate in the Earth grade battle because he has broken through the Yuan Dan intermediate stage." Sigh, when Deng Chen said this, his face was filled with a gloating smile. He looked very happy. Humph. Hearing Deng Chen's words, Lin Tang immediately snorted and ignored Deng Chen. His biggest regret was that Mo Qingyun's cultivation had broken through to the Yuan Dan intermediate stage and was unable to participate in the new generation battle. Now Deng Chen had to mention this point. This was simply touching a sore spot. At this moment, in the fighting ring, the Scarlet Flame Dragon Martial Soul appeared. Soul change. Mo Qingyun walked out of the array and did not waste time talking nonsense with Deng He. He directly summoned his martial soul and instantly entered the half-soul change state. Bird of Prey break. After entering the half-soul change state, Mo Qingyun moved and attacked Deng He at an extremely fast speed. At this moment, Mo Qingyun did not hold back and directly released the Wind Ultimacy to perfection. With the support of the wind ultimacy to perfection, Mo Qingyun's speed instantly reached the extreme. His body flashed like a meteor and instantly appeared in front of Deng He. So fast! Seeing Mo Qingyun's speed, Deng He's face twitched. He was shocked by Mo Qingyun's speed. While Deng He was still in shock, Mo Qingyun had already thrown a punch at him. A terrifying origin energy exploded from Mo Qingyun's hand and blasted directly at Deng He's face. Retreat! Seeing Mo Qingyun's punch, Deng He's face twitched again. He quickly retreated and wanted to avoid Mo Qingyun's punch. You want to retreat? Seeing through Deng He's thoughts, Mo Qingyun's smile immediately became wider. He sneered and said, "Your reaction is too slow. Gravity suppression." After Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he released the sevenfold earth ultimacy and exerted a terrifying pressure on Deng He. Sevenfold earth ultimacy. Feeling the enormous pressure on his body, Deng He was immediately shocked and a strong sense of panic appeared on his face. Then, Deng He's legs turned to jelly. He staggered and almost fell under the gravity suppression. Deng He's speed was not as fast as Mo Qingyun, who had comprehended the wind ultimacy. Now that he was being suppressed by the gravity suppression, his speed was greatly reduced. In the blink of an eye, Mo Qingyun caught up with him. Mo Qingyun caught up with Deng He and did not show any mercy. His fist landed directly on Deng He's face. Bang! A muffled sound was heard. Then, Deng He's nose caved in and blood gushed out from his nose. After receiving Mo Qingyun's powerful punch, Deng He did not hesitate and instinctively kicked at Mo Qingyun. Spear Hall, don't tell me you cultivate leg techniques? Seeing Deng He's kick, Mo Qingyun revealed a mocking smile. He raised his hand and pinched Deng He's ankle. Then, Deng He felt as if his ankle was clamped by a pair of pliers and he was unable to break free. At this moment, without waiting for Deng He to recover from his shock, he felt a terrifying force acting on his ankle. Then, Deng He's body was lifted up by Mo Qingyun and spun in the air. Bang! Before Deng He could get used to the spinning, he felt his face coming into contact with the ground of the fighting stage. He took a mouthful of dust. Now, do you still think elemental holy stones are easy to earn? Mo Qingyun lifted Deng He up and placed him on the ground. He smiled faintly and lifted him up again. Bang! Another loud sound was heard. Deng He's face hit the ground of the fighting stage again, stirring up a cloud of dust. Once again, Deng He's face came into contact with the ground. Mo Qingyun smiled and said, "Now, do you still think I'm a coward?" Bang, bang, bang. Then, the crowd saw Deng He being lifted up by Mo Qingyun again and heavily smashed on the ground of the fighting stage. In a short while, Deng He became a golden-haired pig. This brat, seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Lin Tang was stunned at first, then he laughed out loud. Although Mo Qingyun's attack wasn't too ruthless, the humiliation he had caused was huge. Awesome! Too awesome! At this moment, Lin Tang was so happy that he could fly. Mo Qingyun's actions were too satisfying. Letting out a carefree laugh, Lin Tang looked at Deng Chen and said with a smile, "Hall Master Deng Chen, I'm sorry to have eliminated your spear hall in the first elimination round." Hearing Lin Tang's words, Deng Chen's face twitched as if he had been slapped. Chapter 433. What was the name of this coquettish move? As soon as Lin Tang said this, everyone in the central square immediately revealed a shocked expression. They never thought that Lin Tang, as a palace master, would do something like this. When Mo Qingyun heard Lin Tang's words, he was also shocked. He smiled and said, "Master, this move is called the Windfire Wheel." When Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he loosened his right hand and threw Deng He out. Bang! With Mo Qingyun's throw, Deng He was thrown out of the fighting ring. He fell to the ground like a pile of cow dung and couldn't get up for a long time. Seeing this scene, everyone immediately sighed in their hearts, and the way they looked at Mo Qingyun changed. They secretly sighed at how ruthless Mo Qingyun was. From now on, Deng He would never be able to wash away the humiliation he had suffered in the Hidden Dragon Institute. When everyone was sighing in their hearts, Lin Tang heard Mo Qingyun's words and waved his hand. "Hey! Your move is so flashy, so how can you use such a cliché name? In my opinion, your previous move should be called Invincible Under the Heavens, overturning heaven and earth, and face-slapping Windfire Wheel. As for the next move, it should be called Sloppy Flying Heavens, throwing Dead Dog with Sword. Invincible overturning heaven and earth and face-slapping Firestorm Wheels? The frivolous flying sword throwing Dead Dog?" When Lin Tang said this, everyone didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Their emotions were complicated. Was this what a palace master should do? Was this still the solemn and dignified palace master in everyone's eyes? When everyone didn't know whether to laugh or cry at Lin Tang's actions, Lin Tang smiled brightly and said to Deng Chen, "Palace Master Deng Chen, I know that you are knowledgeable. What do you think of the two names I came up with?" Bang! When Deng Chen heard Lin Tang's words, he heard the sound of a slap. It was as if he had been slapped hard by Lin Tang. Deng Chen's old face turned red. He smiled and said, "The names are not bad. They are very cool." Seeing Deng Chen's deflated expression, Lin Tang was secretly pleased. A bright smile appeared on his face, and the more he looked at Mo Qingyun, the more satisfied he was. This disciple was not bad. She did not embarrass him. On the Earth Tournament stage, after severely injuring Deng He and throwing him out of the arena, Mo Qingyun revealed a cold expression. He looked at the remaining two members of the Spear Hall and said, "Do you want to get out of the arena on your own, or do you want me to do it myself and throw the two of you out like I threw Deng He? Let's leave the fighting stage by ourselves." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the two Spear Hall members' faces twitched, and they hurriedly jumped off the battle stage. The memory of Deng He's miserable state was still fresh in their minds. They didn't want to endure such treatment. As the two left the battle platform, the three participating students of the Spear Hall were all eliminated. The Spear Hall was eliminated in the first round. After seeing this scene, Deng Chen's expression immediately twitched, and his face turned extremely ugly. In this year's Academy tournament, the Spear Hall had broken the worst record in history and obtained the worst result in history. However, the reason for this was that Deng He had provoked Mo Qingyun. At the thought of this, Deng Chen looked at Deng He with eyes filled with anger. On the Earth Tournament stage, after making the two members of the Spear Hall get out of the arena, Mo Qingyun looked impatient. He looked at the students from the other halls and said coldly, "I'll give you 15 minutes to compete for the other 9 spots. Otherwise, I'll make all of you leave the arena." As soon as Mo Qingyun said this, the students from the other halls on the battle platform immediately showed some displeasure. Mo Qingyun's words were simply too arrogant and wild. Could it be that with Mo Qingyun's strength alone, he could go against over 10 branch halls? Mo Qingyun, you're too arrogant. Don't think that we'll be afraid of you just because you defeated Deng He. After a while, one of the people from the other halls walked out and said arrogantly, "I'm Yen Lei from the Rod Hall. I don't believe that you alone can be a match for so many of us." "Rod Hall, is it?" Hearing this person's words, Mo Qingyun's face became colder. He directly chopped at the 3 people from the Rod Hall. A horrible Yuanli gathered in Mo Qingyun's palm and quickly condensed into a blade light that was dozens of meters long. It chopped at the 3 people from the Rod Hall. So strong. Seeing Mo Qingyun's attack, the students in the arena suddenly changed their expressions. Their faces twitched, and they were frightened. Bang! 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 While everyone was shocked, the 3 students from the Rod Hall were instantly blown out of the arena by the blade light and fell to the ground with serious injuries. Seeing the miserable state of the 3 people from the Rod Hall, the rest of the students in the arena immediately gasped. Mo Qingyun was too strong. Judging from the current situation, Mo Qingyun might really have the combat strength to fight against all of them. Junior brother Mo is too awesome. Inside the formation, Wang Kai and Yan Lei were excited and clenched their fists when they saw Mo Qingyun's overbearing combat strength. Now, is there anyone else who doubts my strength? After sending the 3 people from the Rod Hall flying with one palm, Mo Qingyun's face was full of pride. He looked at the rest of the students from the other halls with a face full of pride. No more. Under Mo Qingyun's powerful aura, the students from the various palaces on the battle platform all revealed expressions of awe and veneration. Then, the students from the other halls did not dare to hesitate and began to fight with each other. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun sat down on the side and waited for the results of the battle. Seeing this scene, the expressions of the students from the various halls on the cloud platforms unconsciously became complicated. None of them had expected this to happen, and it was something that had never happened before. This guy, is he really Yuan Dan level 4? When did Yuan Dan level 4 become so powerful? He's as fierce as ever. I haven't seen him lose since the beginning of the grand examination. He didn't need to fight and directly advanced to the second round. Only Mo Qingyun seems to be able to do that? For a moment, all kinds of sighs could be heard from the arena. A moment later, while everyone was sighing in their hearts, the results of the battle were announced. Just like that, the curtains to the first group of the first elimination round came to an end. Following the end of the first battle, Mo Qingyun and the other 2 stepped onto the cloud ladder and returned to the Wind Hall's cloud platform. However, when Mo Qingyun returned to the Wind Hall's cloud platform, he did not see Ning Wei and the other 2 from the Heaven class. Other than that, Mo Qingyun also saw that the faces of the people from the human class were filled with worry. After this discovery, Mo Qingyun's heart thumped as he thought of a possibility. Ning Wei and the other 2 might have been eliminated in the first round, because students who were eliminated in the first round did not have the right to return to the cloud platform. Juniors, how did Senior Ning get eliminated? Mo Qingyun's face was cold as he asked the people from the human class. In Mo Qingyun's view, with Ning Wei's strength, who was ranked 5th on the Heaven ranking, he shouldn't have been eliminated in the first round. Hearing this, the people from the human class revealed sorrowful expressions as they replied, Senior Mo, Senior Ning and the others were severely injured by Leng Hui of the Poison Hall and were eliminated. They didn't participate in the first round, so they clearly saw how Ning Wei and the others were injured by Leng Hui. Leng Hui. Hearing their words, Mo Qingyun's face turned cold as a chill emanated from his body. Chapter 434. After which, Mo Qingyun raised his head and looked coldly at the cloud platform of the Poison Hall. On the cloud platform of the Poison Hall, when Leng Hui saw Mo Qingyun looking at him, he flashed a pleased smile at Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun, what do you think of my first gift to you? Leng Hui said proudly. His expression turned cold as he continued, Next, I will have even more gifts for you. I guarantee that you won't stop enjoying them, haha. Hearing those words, Mo Qingyun's gaze turned colder. He said coldly, Don't worry, I will also prepare a few gifts for you. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Leng Hui smiled nonchalantly and said, If that's the case, I would like to see what kind of gift you have prepared for me. I hope that you won't disappoint me. I will definitely not disappoint you. Mo Qingyun smiled brilliantly. After replying to Leng Hui, he no longer paid any attention to him. He turned to Wang Kai and said, Senior brother Wang Kai, give me a list of all the Jade Peak Hall students participating in the Academy Grand Competition. When Mo Qingyun said those words, an intense cold intent emanated from his body. Junior Mo, you intend to. Sensing the cold intent emanating from Mo Qingyun, the duo's expression changed. They could guess what Mo Qingyun was thinking. From Mo Qingyun's current behavior, he was intending to exact revenge on the Jade Peak Hall in the upcoming battle. After realizing this, the duo's expression changed drastically. They exclaimed, "Junior Mo, you mustn't be rash. Severely injuring another disciple in the Academy's grand tournament is the biggest taboo in the Academy." Seeing the duo's reaction, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and said, "You don't have to worry. I won't lose my rationality and do something like that." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the duo's expression turned for the better. After persuading Mo Qingyun for a while, they handed over the list of participating members of the Jade Peak Hall to Mo Qingyun. From today onwards, the Jade Peak Hall no longer needs to exist. Looking at the list of members of the Jade Peak Hall in his hand, Mo Qingyun's lips curled into a cold smile as he made a decision in his heart. At this moment, while Mo Qingyun and the others were talking, the second round of the first round of the elimination battle began. Just like that, the rest of the time passed like that. After several hours, the first round of the elimination battle finally ended. 90% of the branch halls were eliminated. What surprised Mo Qingyun was that even though Lu Fengliang and the others encountered some trouble due to Leng Hui's interference, they still managed to advance to the second round. But apart from the surprise, what made Mo Qingyun feel somewhat helpless was that several students of the Wind Hall's junior class had been eliminated in the first round of the elimination battle. As a result, among the 3 batches of the Wind Hall's junior class, only Mo Qingyun's batch had advanced to the second round. On the north side of the spectator stands, seeing that the first round of elimination battle had ended, the old man from before walked out with a solemn expression and said in a deep voice, "After the first round of group elimination battles, the list of 100 people who have successfully advanced to the second round has been released. Next, we will proceed to the second round of elimination battles. The rules of the elimination battles are as follows. The winners of the elimination battles will draw lots to determine their opponents." The old man explained the rules of the second round to everyone. Set up a draw table. As the old man finished speaking, he nodded to the elders in the central square. Immediately after, the elders in the central square immediately took out a small silver stone platform and threw it into the air. These small silver stone platforms shone brightly as they flew out from the hands of the elders, rapidly expanding as they flew into the air. Boom, boom, boom. Not long after, these stone platforms began to assemble, emitting a series of loud noises. The momentum was astonishing. After a short while, 3 huge stone platforms appeared in the air before everyone's eyes. These were the draw tables. Cloud ladders rise. As the draw tables were set up, cloud ladders appeared in the air, connecting to the cloud platforms of the various wind halls. Battle roll appear. As the cloud ladders connected to the cloud platforms of the various wind halls, the old man took out 3 stone walls and threw them to the 3 draw tables in the air. Then, a huge flashing stone wall was erected on each of the 3 draw tables. After doing all this, the old man's expression turned solemn as he said to the students on the cloud platforms, "Begin the draw." Hearing the old man's words, the students on the cloud platforms stood up one after another. Without any hesitation, they quickly rushed to the draw tables. Then, the number plates in the draw table were drawn by the students one by one. Swish, swish, swish. At this moment, after the number plates were drawn, they quickly flew into the air and collided with each other, turning into a stream of light that flew toward the glowing stone wall. Then, names appeared on the glowing stone wall, displaying the information of everyone's opponent. Heaven Battle Roll information of the opponents was as follows. First match, Poison Hall's Ling Hui vs Thunder Hall's Yi Wuyo. Earth Battle Roll information of the opponents was as follows. First match, Saber Hall's Feng Wuxing vs Cloud Hall's Lin Lian. Second match, Wind Hall's Mo Qingyun vs Chess Hall's Know-It-All. Mortal Battle Roll information of the opponents was as follows. First match, Wine Hall's Long Yutian vs Medicine Hall's Chen Huan. Second match, Seoul Hall's Lu Fengliang vs Puppet Hall's Ban Chiu. Third match, Pill Hall's Wang Zishu vs Flower Hall's Yu Guo. At this moment, the information of the battles of the students from the various halls appeared clearly on the 3 stone walls. It seems that the people from Carefree Pavilion are all at the top of the list. Looking at the battle information on the 3 battle rolls, Mo Qingyun was slightly stunned. He was a little surprised by this result. After a short moment of surprise, Mo Qingyun stopped thinking about it and returned to the cloud platform of the Wind Hall. When Mo Qingyun returned to the cloud platform of the Wind Hall, he immediately noticed that Wang Kai and Yi Wuyo were looking at him with strange gazes. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun showed a puzzled expression and asked, "What's wrong? Are your opponents very strong?" In Mo Qingyun's opinion, the reason why Wang Kai and Yi Wuyo had such expressions was probably because their opponents were too strong, causing them to be worried. However, to Mo Qingyun's surprise, Wang Kai and Yi Wuyo shook their heads and said, "Junior Mo, do you know who your opponent is? Chess Hall's know-it-all. What's wrong?" Hearing their conversation, Mo Qingyun immediately revealed a puzzled expression, and he asked a doubtful question. He didn't feel that there was anything wrong with his opponent. Seeing that Mo Qingyun was still puzzled, Wang Kai and Yi Wuyo's expressions changed and they asked, "Junior Mo, do you know where know-it-all is ranked on the Earth roll?" Seeing Wang Kai and Yi Wuyo's expressions, Mo Qingyun frowned slightly and asked tentatively, "Is know-it-all ranked first?" In Mo Qingyun's opinion, Wang Kai and Yi Wuyo's expressions were probably because know-it-all was stronger than Deng He. Although know-it-all isn't ranked first, he's ranked second. Chapter 435. Know-it-all, second on the Earth board? Hearing the two's words, Mo Qingyun's expression froze, somewhat surprised by this result. He didn't expect know-it-all to have such strength. It was truly out of his expectations. At this moment, while Mo Qingyun was still in shock, Wang Kai's expression turned serious as he said, "Junior Mo, although know-it-all is ranked second on the Earth board, in terms of difficulty, he is far superior to Ling Chong, who is ranked first." Ling Chong is ranked first on the Earth board? Hearing this, Mo Qingyun's expression immediately changed, revealing a look of surprise. Ling Chong had actually become first on the Earth board. This news was too unexpected. It seemed that Ling Chong had quite a fortuitous encounter in this half a year. Half a year ago, Ling Chong had a fortuitous encounter during one of the Academy's training sessions. He obtained the inheritance of the Poison Demon King from 900 years ago. His poison attacks are incomparably terrifying. Wang Kai revealed a look of reverence. Following Wang Kai's words, Li Jing added, "Just a few days ago, I heard that Ling Chong, with a cultivation of the 6th layer of the Yuan Dan realm, was undefeated against a cultivator of the 8th layer of the Yuan Dan realm. Ling Chong actually obtained the inheritance of the Little Poison Lord. Interesting." Hearing Wang Kai and Li Jing's words, Mo Qingyun's lips curled into a brilliant smile. He lightly said, "So in this half a year, Ling Chong's improvement is not small." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Wang Kai's expression immediately turned serious. He said, "Junior Mo, you don't know, but the outside world is currently comparing you with Ling Chong. They want to see who is the true king of this year's grand examination." "There's such a thing?" Hearing this, Mo Qingyun's expression froze for a moment, then his smile deepened. He said, "If that's the case, then isn't today the day the mystery is revealed?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Wang Kai and Li Jing's expressions changed as they suddenly realized this point. At this moment, while Mo Qingyun and the other two were talking, the first group's battle had begun. On the Heaven Trials stage, Yi Wuyo stood against the wind with a snow-white long sword in his hand, looking valiant and heroic. Looking at the beauty before him, Ling Hui revealed a cold expression and said, "Wuyo, do you still not understand now? Even the heavens have arranged for me to defeat you, so that you can back off and assist me wholeheartedly in the future. Bah! Hearing Ling Hui's words, Yi Huio angrily spat at him and furiously said, Ling Hui, today, I will defeat you in front of everyone and make you give up on that thought. Fine snow thunder. The long sword in Yi Huio's hand danced in the wind, sending out snowflake sword rays that swept towards Ling Hui. As the snowflake sword radiance slashed out, specks of starlight blossomed. The specks of starlight connected to each other, forming a lightning sword net that cut off the opponent's escape route. Good sword art! Seeing Yi Huio make a move, Ling Hui praised Yi Huio. With a faint smile on his face, he said, I, Ling Hui, lack a woman like you by my side. Huio, you should just follow me. Venomous wolf swallows the sun. Ling Hui's body soared into the sky. A surge of black origin energy exploded from his body and turned into a sinister wolf figure. Roar! The moment the wolf figure appeared, it howled towards the sky and opened its mouth to swallow the snowflake sword radiance. As the wolf figure swallowed the sword radiance, the sky instantly changed colors and the vision dimmed. It was as if the sun and moon had disappeared. Following that, Yi Huio's attack was neutralized by Ling Hui's attack. Looking at this scene, Yi Huio's expression changed. She revealed an unyielding expression and once again charged towards Ling Hui with her sword. However, with her mid-stage Yuan Dan realm cultivation, it was still extremely difficult for her to defeat Ling Hui, who was a half-step into the Pill Palace realm. It seems like Senior Huio won't be able to win this battle. Looking at the battle between Yi Huio and Ling Hui, Mo Qingyun shook his head and sighed in his heart. Mo Qingyun sighed and turned to look at the human-grade battle stage to watch the battle between Long Yutian and Chen Huan. Long Yutian's battle was the exact opposite of Yi Huio's battle. Just like the Pill Hall's disciples, most of them weren't good at fighting. Now that Chen Huan was facing Long Yutian, who specialized in defense, it was like a candle smashing into a rock. At this moment, on the human division's battle stage, Chen Huan swung his wooden pestle at Long Yutian, scattering all kinds of strange herbs. These medicinal herbs harnessed a bizarre medicinal energy that would induce all kinds of adverse reactions upon inhaling it. It was similar to the poison powder of the Poison Hall. The only difference was that the medicinal energy of these herbs wasn't as sinister as the Poison Hall's poison powder. Senior brother, thank you for your gift. I've been refining medicinal wine recently, and I'm lacking a few herbs. Seeing Chen Huan make a move, Long Yutian smiled heartily and thanked Chen Huan. After that, Long Yutian took out his wine flask and tossed it into the air, causing wine to splash out. As soon as the wine appeared, it mixed with Chen Huan's herbs and neutralized Chen Huan's attack. Keep. After neutralizing Chen Huan's attack, Long Yutian laughed heartily. He spun the wine flask in his hand and quickly collected the herbs and wine in the air back into the wine flask. Then, Long Yutian held the wine flask in his hand and poured it into his mouth. He laughed heartily and said, mixing herbs with wine and singing while drunk. How long is life? Senior brother, let's fight again. After saying those heroic words, Long Yutian's body emitted a strong battle intent as he laughed heartily at Chen Huan. Seeing Long Yutian's words, Chen Huan's expression changed. He revealed a hint of admiration and said, Junior brother Long is so heroic. Chen Huan admits defeat. Chen Huan admitting defeat meant that Long Yutian had successfully advanced to the next round. At this moment, when Long Yutian won, Yi Huio, who was on the Heaven Division's battle stage, was forced off the battle stage by Ling Hui. Yi Huio's face turned pale when she was forced off the battle stage by Ling Hui. Despair appeared on her face. She lost. Didn't this mean that she couldn't stop Ling Hui from getting first place in the Academy tournament? Once Ling Hui got first place in the Academy tournament and proposed to Yi Jingtian, what would she do? Would she really have to marry Ling Hui? At this moment, Yi Huio couldn't help but feel a sense of despair. When Ling Hui saw that he had defeated Yi Wuyo, a smug smile appeared on his face. He said to Yi Wuyo, "Wuyo, from today onwards, there will no longer be a carefree pavilion in the great Yen martial house. You will also become my woman." Hearing Ling Hui's words, Yi Wuyo's body trembled and her face turned even paler. The thing she was most worried about had finally happened. Was there really no room for negotiation? After saying those words to Yi Wuyo, Ling Hui smiled proudly. He looked at Emo Qingyun and said, "Emo Qingyun, from today onwards, you and the other members of Wuyo Pavilion will disappear just like Wuyo Pavilion. Is that so?" "I don't think so." Emo Qingyun smiled indifferently. He then turned to Yi Wuyo and said firmly, "Senior Sister Wuyo, don't worry. With me around, Wuyo Pavilion will not be disbanded. You also don't have to marry Ling Hui." Junior Brother Qin Yun. Chapter 436. Shameless Boasting. When Emo Qingyun's words entered into Ling Hui's ears, it instantly caused his face to sink slightly, and he said with disdain, "Emo Qingyun, based on what you said, you seem to intend to stop me from seizing the first in the academy competition?" "You said that?" Emo Qingyun smiled faintly. He looked at Ling Hui meaningfully and said, "Ling Hui, it's best not to jump to conclusions until the very last moment. Be careful that extreme joy turns to sorrow in the end." "Haha, that's too funny." Ling Hui burst into laughter when he heard this. He did not take Emo Qingyun's words to heart at all. "Emo Qingyun, you think too highly of yourself. Do you know how big the gap between you and me is? The gap between us is like the difference between the clouds and the mud," Emo Qingyun said indifferently. Ling Hui smiled proudly. "At least you know your place." "I think you are mistaken. What I meant was that you are the mud and I am the cloud," Emo Qingyun explained with a smile when he saw that Ling Hui had misinterpreted his words. "Humph." Ling Hui snorted coldly when he heard Emo Qingyun's words. His face darkened. "Cousin Ling Hui, there is no need to say anything more to this fellow. I will take care of him for you later." Without waiting for Ling Hui to speak, Ling Chong, who was behind him, looked at Emo Qingyun with a dark expression. "Emo Qingyun, if you want to stand up for a woman, you will have to get past me first." "You!" "Ha!" Emo Qingyun scoffed when he saw Ling Chong's actions. He shook his head and did not say anything else. However, although Emo Qingyun did not say anything, anyone with a discerning eye could tell that Emo Qingyun was mocking Ling Chong. After giving Ling Chong a disdainful smile, Emo Qingyun no longer hesitated. He stepped onto the ladder and arrived at the fighting ring in a few flashes. Stepping onto the battle platform, Emo Qingyun smiled at Yi Wuyo as he spoke in a loud voice, "Senior Sister Wuyo, I will let everyone know that today is not the day the Worryless Pavilion disband, but the day the Worryless Pavilion rises to prominence. Yes, I believe you can do it." Upon hearing Emo Qingyun's words, tears welled up in Yi Wuyo's eyes. He was touched. She vaguely remembered that not long ago, Emo Qingyun went to the prefecture alone to find the 1,000-year ice lotus to cure the poison in Ruoshui's body. He successfully refined the ice-dew golden pill to save Ruoshui. This time, Emo Qingyun fought for her in the Jade Peak Hall. Would he be able to create another miracle? At this moment, Yi Wuyo's pretty face tensed up. Her heart was filled with nervousness. She unconsciously pinched the corner of her clothes, revealing the side of a little girl. "Senior Sister Wuyo, the same goes for us." At this moment, Lu Fangliang and the others, who were on the cloud platforms, also had a determined look on their faces as they made a bold statement. Thank you all." Upon hearing everyone's words, Yi Wuyo burst into tears of joy. She thanked Lu Fangliang and the rest. "In that case, today, we will let everyone witness the rise of the Worryless Pavilion in front of everyone." Upon seeing the actions of Lu Fangliang and the rest, Emo Qingyun smiled brightly and spoke heroically. Today, he would let the worryless pavilion rise to prominence in Dian province before everyone's eyes. What an interesting lad. I wonder what kind of performance he will give us next. Upon seeing Mo Qingyun's performance in the fighting ring, Yi Jingtian smiled faintly. His eyes were filled with anticipation. Wu Yo, this lass, seems to have gotten to know a group of decent little fellows. Yi Jinglei, who was beside Yi Jingtian, smiled faintly and said, "The know-it-all's strength is much stronger than Deng He's. Qin Yun has met a strong opponent this time." Lin Tang's expression was tense as he spoke these words of worry. Even if Qin Yun can't defeat the know-it-all, he can still defeat Deng He with his cultivation. Among those of the same cultivation, he can be proud of himself. Lin Shi sighed. Mo Qingyun's performance had already exceeded her expectations. Upon hearing Lin Shi's words, Lin Tang's expression couldn't help but tremble. He suddenly recalled Mo Qingyun's words from before. Getting first place in the Earth grade competition is the same? Upon recalling Mo Qingyun's words, Lin Tang's face immediately revealed a look of anticipation. He clenched his fists and exclaimed in shock, "Stinky brat, can you do it?" At the thought of this, Lin Tang's heart became nervous. He suddenly realized that he seemed to have underestimated Mo Qingyun. From the current situation, as long as Mo Qingyun defeated the know-it-all, he would have the qualifications to fight with Lung Chong, the number 1 on the Earth grade competition. He was only one step away from achieving his goal. Humph! What an arrogant brat! With your cultivation of Yuan Dan level 4, you want to stop Ling Hui from marrying Princess Huio? You want to stop Ling Hui from obtaining first place in the school competition? Dream on. Long Wancho's face was filled with displeasure as he spoke these words of disapproval. In his opinion, with Mo Qingyun's cultivation of Yuan Dan level 4, it was impossible for him to defeat Ling Hui, who was a half-step into the Pill Palace. Once Long Wancho's words left his mouth, the expressions of the surrounding people changed. They subconsciously nodded their heads. At this moment, the people in the VIP seats were whispering to each other. On the Earth grade competition stage. "You're Mo Qingyun, right?" The know-it-all looked at Mo Qingyun in front of him with a cold expression. He said in a deep voice, "I don't care what grudges you have with Ling Hui. No matter what, I will not lose to you today." The know-it-all was originally the number 1 on the Earth grade competition. However, not long ago, he was defeated by Lung Chong and became the number 2 on the Earth grade competition. If he was defeated by Mo Qingyun now, he would become the number 3 on the Earth grade competition. This was not something he could accept. "You can't stop me." Towards the know-it-all's words, Mo Qingyun's face was indifferent. His tone was calm, as if he was stating a very ordinary matter. "Humph. Then let's see who's stronger." The know-it-all snorted coldly. He took out a chessboard and raised his hand to point at the chessboard. Following that, the chessboard shone brightly and a huge image of the chessboard exploded, enveloping Mo Qingyun and himself. "Mo Qingyun, I will now show you the power of the army-breaking chessboard." The know-it-all's feet moved like the wind as he leaped onto the back of a warhorse in the chessboard. Thousands of soldiers and horses charged forward. The know-it-all leaped onto the back of the horse with a long sword in his hand. He was like a marshal who led the army into battle, commanding the thousands of soldiers and horses to charge forward. Shadow after shadow of the army-breaking cavalry appeared in midair. Waves of origin energy were trampled on by the army-breaking cavalry. They carried a shocking aura as they trampled on Mo Qingyun. The rider on the back of the armored horse brandished a long spear that glinted with a cold light and pierced towards Mo Qingyun's chest. "So it's the 1,000 transformations chess. If that's the case, I'll play with you." Looking at the thousands of soldiers and horses charging towards him, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly. He took a step forward and stepped on a huge cannon. Continuous cannon fire. Mo Qingyun formed a strange seal with his hands and slammed his palm on the huge cannon. Instantly, the huge cannon fired and the cannon fodder roared. Faced with the bombardment of cannon fire, the thousands of army-breaking cavalry charging towards Emo Qingyun were instantly blasted into pieces. How could this be? Chapter 437. Is it difficult to control the Great Transformation Array Chess? Emo Qingyun smiled nonchalantly at No Ital's words and said, "The Great Transformation Array Chess is not meant to be used like that. Let me teach you how to use it." Shameless boasting. You're just a disciple of the Wind Temple. Do you think you know chess better than me? No Ital snorted angrily. He did not think that Emo Qingyun really knew chess. Instead, he thought that Emo Qingyun was humiliating him. Haha, if that's the case, watch carefully. Emo Qingyun smiled faintly, but he did not refute. He had a confident look on his face. No Ital did not waste any more words. He took out a flag and threw it into the hands of a soldier on the chessboard. Divine soldier leaping over the heavenly river. With the flag in hand, the soldier's morale was greatly boosted. His eyes lit up and he exuded a heroic aura. Puff puff, the soldier took a step forward. Immediately, shadow soldiers holding long scythes appeared on his body. They crossed the heavenly river in an imposing manner and crossed the territory. Deploying soldiers to scout the way and crossing the river on horseback? Seeing No Ital's action, Emo Qingyun immediately understood his intention. He smiled and said, "No Ital, you're too naive. Divine horse suppressing the heavenly river." Emo Qingyun leaped onto the horse's back and urged it to guard the heavenly river. Suddenly, on both sides of the heavenly river, armored horses clanked. The knights swept their long spears and shot down the shadow soldiers crossing the river. How could this be? Seeing Emo Qingyun casually shoot his soldiers down the heavenly river and wash them away, No Ital's face turned pale. It seemed that Emo Qingyun's mastery of the Great Transformation Array Chess was above his. No Ital felt bitter. The Great Transformation Array Chess was his weapon, but he was not as proficient as Emo Qingyun in using it. To him, this was simply a great humiliation. Before No Ital could recover from his shock, he saw Emo Qingyun's figure move and get into a chariot. The chariot rose into the air and drove straight toward him. The divine might war chariot was killing in all directions. Under Emo Qingyun's direction, the war chariot's aura soared to the sky. It swept through everything in its path. It killed everything in its path. It was extremely valiant. Faced with Emo Qingyun's wild and overbearing attack, No Ital's expression immediately. He realized that he was in a situation to be beaten. At this moment, the people in the spectator seats were all shocked when they saw this scene. How is this possible? The No Ital was actually forced into a perilous situation by Emo Qingyun in a chess game. Everyone's faces were filled with shock. They were extremely surprised by this scene. Originally, they thought that if Emo Qingyun wanted to defeat No Ital, he should have broken through No Ital's Great Transformation Array Chess with brute force, just like Ling Chong. They had never imagined that Emo Qingyun would actually use chess to compete with No Ital and even gain the upper hand at this moment. This situation was beyond everyone's expectations. This kid, seeing that Emo Qingyun had gained the upper hand, Lin Tang immediately became excited. He stood up in surprise and said, "This means that he really has a chance to win first place in the Earth Cohort Year Tournament." In other words, what Emo Qingyun said to him before wasn't just empty talk. This kid hid it from me so well. Lin Tang smiled bitterly, but he was extremely happy. He realized that he could not see through this disciple of his. At this moment, the chess hall's hall master and the elders also stood up like Lin Tang. They had realized that the chess techniques Emo Qingyun was using were killing moves that they had never seen before, only recorded in the history books. This is the heavenly horse overturning killing art, a killing move from the 300-year-old heavenly scripture of the Grand Horse art. A chess hall elder exclaimed. Heavenly chariot displacement refining killing art, a killing move from the 700-year-old heavenly chariot shattering all arts. Another chess hall elder excitedly said. Heavenly cannon chain killing art. Twin horses drinking spring killing art. Monarch suffocating palace killing art. Following this, all sorts of chess techniques were displayed before the chess hall's hall master and elders. At this sight, the hearts of the chess hall's hall master and elders were immediately thrown into turmoil. Emo Qingyun, a student of the Wind Hall, actually knew so many long-lost chess techniques. If they had not seen it with their own eyes, they would have never believed it. Of course, besides their shock, what made them vomit blood was the fact that Emo Qingyun was not a student of the chess hall, but a student of the Wind Hall. It had to be said that this scene was quite ironic. Is this kid really a student of the Wind Hall? The chess hall master, Sun Tianji, bitterly smiled as he looked at Lin Tang with jealousy. Given the talent Emo Qingyun had displayed, any hall he went to would have limitless glory. This Lin Tang fellow was truly lucky. At this moment, everyone couldn't help but sigh in their hearts as they looked at Lin Tang with envy. While everyone was sighing in their hearts, the result of Emo Qingyun's battle was decided. After defeating Know-It-All, Emo Qingyun faintly smiled and said, "There's no need to thank me. Just treat it as a reward for playing chess with me. How much you can comprehend will depend on your luck." A reward for playing chess with me? Upon hearing Emo Qingyun's words, everyone's expressions immediately changed. They didn't know what to say. Emo Qingyun had beaten the other party so badly, yet he still had the nerve to say such words. His skin was really thick. However, what surprised everyone was that the chess hall master, Sun Tianji, actually smiled faintly and said gratefully, "Thank you, little brother Emo, for your pointers. In the future, please come to my chess hall more often." Come to the chess hall more often? Were they looking for trouble? Seeing Sun Tianji's actions, everyone was speechless again. After thanking Emo Qingyun, Sun Tianji's expression turned solemn as he said to Know-It-All, "Know-It-All, quickly thank little brother Emo for your pointers." Others might not have seen the value of Emo Qingyun's move, but how could Sun Tianji not see it? In his opinion, if Emo Qingyun could give them pointers and let them learn one or two killing moves, the strength of the chess hall would immediately rise by several levels. Know-It-All was an intelligent person. When he heard Sun Tianji's words, he immediately understood the meaning behind Sun Tianji's words. With Emo Qingyun's superb chess skills, being able to play chess with Emo Qingyun was a rare opportunity. Many people dreamed of it but couldn't get it. Furthermore, Emo Qingyun clearly could have used other methods to battle, but in the end, he chose to play chess with Know-It-All. This was Emo Qingyun's respect for Know-It-All. However, before this, Know-It-All had misinterpreted it as humiliation. From the looks of it, the gap between him and Emo Qingyun was simply too great. This was not only reflected in their strength, but the gap in their mental states was even greater. Know-It-All immediately set aside his pride and looked at Emo Qingyun with gratitude. He said wholeheartedly, "I accept my defeat wholeheartedly. Thank you for your pointers today." You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.